tucked away inside your I already messed it up. Okay, sorry.
Dude, you had an hour of prep.
Man, okay. Tucked away inside your nearest Sega Dreamcast is set up in the console's random access memory. There is a bar, a safe haven for guests and information to roam in, share a bit of their time, and go about their way. Welcome to Ram on the Rocks. I've got a very cool guest over here today, somebody that I have actually been wanting to get on for a little bit now. Do you mind introducing yourself?
I do, actually, yeah.
Oh, well, hell.
That's the most offensive thing anyone's ever asked of me.
Well, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
He got it. He got the first line wrong, and then he asked me the impossible. He's doing good, everybody. Sorry. Hello, I'm Jim, but most people know me online as Caddy, also known as Caddicarus on YouTube, and I make things, and I try to be funny about it. I used to review things. I don't do that anymore. People say that I do, but if I'm a reviewer, I'm the worst reviewer on YouTube. I'm terrible at it. I'm just trying to do anarchy stuff, anarchy, surrealist humor. Video games are the jumping off point. And they're big videos, very big productions, heavily scripted, heavily edited. And yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, and again, like I've said before, been watching for a long time, and was definitely inspired by a lot of your work. But it's also, it's cool that I actually get to call you a friend now, and we've met up at conventions and bantered.
Oh, stop it! Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet of you, dude. No, look. The honor's all mine. I like the fact that you said those things and you feel those things, and then you're like, I would like to ask you onto your thing. Like that's an absolute pleasure for me, because like I could be selling myself to other people. It's like, no, you want me on your thing, and that speaks volumes, and that's really, really sweet of you. So yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like
I've also seen you unbelievably fucking drunk. I've also seen that.
Yeah, I think because I had Anthony on a little bit ago, and we kind of brought up the vodka story.
Oh God almighty. I don't even know any particular stories. I remember one time in a I'm gonna say it was TMG. It must have been.
It was TMG,
either TMG. Yeah, it was that or Magfest. I can't remember, but it was like walking in the room, and there were a load of people in there, and then there's just you, cross-legged on the floor, staring into space, and I was just like, oh no.
I was vibing.
He's had a night.
I was just enjoying.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thank you, dude. Thank you. It's really, really sweet of you to invite me on.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I've said it before, but like I think one of my favorite things I've put together since I started YouTube has actually been this podcast, and one of the best parts has been just bringing friends on, and we just kind of get to chat a bit about gaming and about like what it means to us and our favorite aspects of it. And there is definitely an element to that I know that you and I kind of grew up with in a similar way, at least in a certain sense of overlap. And that would be with the original PlayStation. Obviously something you've talked about a lot on your own channel. But I thought, yeah. But I thought it'd be fun if we got to just kind of like chat a little bit about like our experience with the PS1 and or just like going off into the rest of the PlayStation library and how much that influenced us from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, sounds fun. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've got gotten into it in your own content from time to time, or just spoken about it over the years. But if you could just kind of like run us down, like what was it like? How'd you essentially get into the PlayStation, and was that like how did that help like get you interested in video games?
So yeah, you're talking about just life, right? Not specifically on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, it was really as straightforward as you're a kid and you don't know anything, because you're a really stupid, you're an adult that hasn't learned anything yet, so you're just a dumb, tiny little adult, and you don't know what a video game is, you don't know what anything is until it's presented to you. So, like, it wasn't a case of seeking it, it just fell in my lap. It was, my dad, who I haven't spoken to since 2014, another story, but my dad was one of, the kinds of queuing up for the PlayStation when it came out in the UK, and he brought it home, and I've got very vague memories, because the TV and the PlayStation used to be in my bedroom when I was really small, and I've just got vague memories of Wipeout 2097, which in the States is Wipeout XL, and these dark flashing lights and CRT screen and thumping techno rave punk music and all that kind of shit. And we can swear, right? We can swear on this?
Yeah, I stopped censoring this podcast a long time ago.
Okay, good, because I swear a lot and I can't help it.
You're fine.
So that was kind of instilled, those kinds of primitive, primal, cozy memories, the safe memories, and then it got to a point. Crash 3 came out, and he had ordered it over the I guess through a magazine or something, but it had arrived through the letterbox, and he was making a big deal about how I should be there. I couldn't tell you how old I was, so it would have been 98, so I would have been 4, maybe just 4.5 maybe, and he made this big deal about he's at work, but there's something coming in the post and I need to be ready, and I need to pick it up from the post and open it, and then I need to call him and tell him what it is, and I can't read, so I don't know what he was planning. But I guess there was an enthusiasm. And my dad is not a video game player at all. He's always had something, but he just works. He's not into the culture. He kind of fell off of it in the early PS2 days and just became this kind of curmudgeonly, why would you play Grand Theft Auto when you can play Driver 2? It's the same thing. Yeah, it's it's identical. Yeah, we haven't really evolved the medium since medieval. We haven't evolved since then, I guess. But yeah, that was the kind of thing. And then, it's a cartoon really that you can control. And if you're already watching cartoons as a kid, that's a very appealing thing. But you can control it, and sounds and images and music and all these things happen, and you've got the vibration in the controllers, all these feedback things, these sensory things are happening under your control, and it's colorful and it's bright and it's on your TV and it's a disc that you can take out. There's just so many different elements to it that added to this idea of it. It's it's not just a video game, it's it's an experience kind of thing. And then that seeded starting to collect more for the PlayStation as my dad started working more and asking for things for Christmas, buying things for myself, and then that moved on to PS2, and then never into sports or anything at school. Lonely kid, really. We were in a school at the time, a primary school, so that would be elementary for the States, and there were 99 students total in this school, and in my year, I was basically the only boy in the whole school, because there's only 99 of us, the only boy that would be not on the football area, or the soccer area, sorry. So, I would be to myself, thinking about things, making up things in my head, thinking about games I just played, and then, kind of acting things out in my head, sitting on the benches. I didn't read or anything, it was mostly just kind of imagining things and thinking about anything other than being in that building. And yeah, that's where it kind of started. And yeah,
man, I can relate to a decent bit of that, actually, because I was definitely I had friends as a kid and everything like that, but I did definitely have a lot of my loner tendencies, and I would be the guy that would just be I'd be tucked away somewhere, just kind of not really participating in a sports way with what everybody else was doing and stuff like that. And
there's a funny thing about that as well, right? Because and this is something as I've grown to the ripe old ancient age of 31, there's a lot of things that I look a little bit differently on, and one of them, weirdly, as much as I've just gone on about getting into video games and you asking me about video games and me being on this podcast and me having a YouTube career based on video games, that kind of stuff, it meant it meant everything to me up to a point when I was younger, and then it very, very gradually, especially in the last, half a decade or so, has become less and less and less and less of an identifier. And with that identifier, the label falling off from me just naturally, or like life experiences and things happening outside of that kind of shift and change how you feel about things. Stuff like that, when you're talking about like having friends at school but also being a loner and stuff, it's funny because there was a period of time where someone would be making fun of me or fun of people that play video games in general, as like, oh yeah, you're just all fucking lonely nerds with no friends and you can only have this thing. And then you'd be like, actually that's not true, and video games are actually serious art, serious storytelling. And as the years went on, that became more and more apparent. But ultimately, looking back, yeah, we were both fucking weird, lonely nerds, and that's fine, Yeah. There's a weird. It's like reverse gatekeeping. It's almost like people want to be like lots of people, I think, want to be taken completely dead seriously with their hobby of video games, and they will go out of their way to defend it at all costs and use examples and explain why something like the Stanley Parable can only exist as a video game, and then and then other things unrelated to that can be this and that. And then it's like, yeah, but I was just a normal person, I wasn't this weird nerd, and if that's why you're thinking that my hobby is worthless, then that's your problem. But the thing is that that's not true, is it? The reason why video games and all that, it's because of social outcasts, and that's fine. It's totally okay that you at some point there's kind of been an acceptance, a comfort with just being like, you know what? No, you don't need to prove your interests, your hobbies. Like, if you like it, you like it. And if, somebody is going to talk to you negatively about it, then I don't know. I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot, because lots of people, those same kinds of people, would be like, well, when video games got more mainstream in the 2000s or the late 90s, and it all became about sports games, and then the jocks came in, and then it all became Call of Duty and everything got ruined. It's like, okay, but a second ago you just said that you weren't lonely, and you were a good kid, and you were completely well adapted, but those are the people that you were saying that you weren't, but now you're saying that you were part of them, but you were different from them, and they're the bad ones, but you are also not a nerd, and you're insulted by the fact that you were an outcast, but you don't want to say you're an outcast anymore. People like what you like, like, just fucking, yeah. I don't even know what my point was. I'm just, yeah.
No, I got you, dude. Because it's like, it's a wild little journey kind of going through all of that. And it's especially since, like, you and I have both experienced kind of going from a state of just having this feeling where you have to kind of defend this hobby, to where we've both gotten to a point where, like, wow, there's a surprising amount of people that want to listen to us talk about this thing we like.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think with me as well, it's kind of, I think as well, and the reason I kind of, even though that was what I just said was a collection of thoughts and ideas that were loosely threaded but not really, so I'm gonna add more to that because it needs more stitches, it needs more threads.
Sure.
But I think that kind of thinking as I've got older has also, made me realize, looking back, negatively affected how I used to approach making videos. And when there's a kind of turning point where it's like, when I was a kid, I would feel as though I would need to be, embarrassed about what I liked with, playing video games, and then I would get older, and then I'd be, making videos and getting slight popularity from talking about the stuff that I grew up with, and then you'd get more people coming in, but saying negative things in a different way, which is like, well, why are you fucking talking about this old shit, and why aren't you playing this, and why aren't you playing that? And then that primal instinctive caveman part of me would then come back at that, and then feel the need to over explain and be overly passionate. And that's in and of itself, that's not a problem, but then it can get a little bit cringe, a little bit embarrassing, the more you kind of fall into that trap. And then eventually that leads to, okay, I'm making a joke about a thing I don't like, but now, because of all this baggage of feeling the need to defend this weirdo, social outcast hobby for so many years. It's now becoming, is how much of this is joke and how much of this is genuine anger. And if it's coming across as genuine anger when I'm talking about Peppa Pig or Bubsy or something, if it's coming across as genuine anger when in actuality I don't give a shit, then that's a me problem. And that's not to say people don't enjoy that kind of stuff, but I'm more talking just about the whole idea of, well, this is a serious hobby, and now it's it was a serious hobby for me, and then it became a serious career. So then I was almost kind of using the same mentality to make videos as if to pretend that I knew what I was talking about and that I deserved to have my audience and I deserved to talk about these things. And this is everything I know about video game design and controls. And if you don't understand why this is good or bad, then I'm going to explain to you in depth. And by the way, I'm talking about Croc 2. And it's like, eventually it just got fucking insane. And I reached this point of I look back and I'm just like, oh my God, I did that for 4 years of my career, 2015 to 2019, and it is a little embarrassing looking back, but
Do you think on any part of that, do you think, especially getting into the YouTube space and just I don't want to say kind of competing with other people within that space, do you think that maybe the fact that other people were there kind of doing the same thing, trying to stand out and trying to seem like a more serious voice in it, do you think that maybe influenced that?
Oh, definitely, because even if you're not directly competing, or you're aware that you're indirectly competing, I have flashbacks every so often to certain lines in certain videos, and I can picture perfect get where my head was at when I said certain things in certain ways. I can't even remember what specific video it was, but there's one that always fucks me off, and it's a video from, I want to say 2015, but it could have been another time, maybe even late 2014 after my initial virality and everything started coming down. But there was a specific line about a specific thing I wrote, and I said it in a specific way, and it was something along the lines of, this and this and this means there is no depth or real length to the gameplay. And I'm thinking, that's not me being funny. I actually think I know what I'm fucking talking about, and I don't. But you feel as that it's like I said that this. I know that my thoughts are pretty scattered, but that's what I'm trying to say when it comes to, in the same way as a kid, I would be going around multiple hurdles and going loop-de-loop to try and fucking justify, well, I don't like Xbox for this reason and that reason. I'm doing the same thing, but in video form, and now I have an audience. It's like, they're going to listen to me, and they're actually going to take, even though I want to try and balance that with Monty Python shit, I also want to be taken seriously, and I'm going to talk about gameplay mechanics, about 20-year-old games that no one cares about, I know, and I need to give ratings, because I'm a journalist. It's important. My opinions and my reviews are important now because I have an audience. And if people are going to make fun of me for the fact I make videos about video games for a living, and they're going to go, ha ha ha, that's a bit of a nerdy thing, I'm going to go, well, actually it isn't, because this video game here is a work of art, and I'm going to explain to you why. And it's I was kind of arguing myself into corners that I had no intent of arguing out of or further explanation, and I don't claim to know what I'm talking about or anything, but that came out a lot. And whether that's AVGN inspiration being taken a little bit too literally, or just getting ego taking over alongside the fact that it's a niche hobby, a social outcast nerdy kind of shit, and you feel on constant defense up until a certain age. All of that kind of comes in together, and that's where console war mentality comes from. But it's console war mentality, but also I'm trying to make a video to entertain people, and I'm giving off the wrong impression. And then when somebody, at any other point in the last couple of years wants to say, do you remember, hey Caddy, do you remember your review of this? Well, it was a really bad review and I don't agree with it. I'd say, yeah, no, you're right. It's a terrible, most of anything that I claim is a review, even if I'm trying to be funny in it, yeah, no, I can tell you that I never really intended to go into critique at all. It just kind of happened, and it happened from circumstances and experiences that led me to kind of naturally just end up doing that, because it came from a like overly conscious defense. What's it like? Self. What's the word?
Like a sort of like self-aggrandizing, like, or
almost like like a self-justification. Justifying your own hobby by presenting yourself as something that you aren't, and then you're confusing that with like, this is going to go well algorithmically because it's this and it's rage and it's this, and then confusing it with people that also genuinely agree with you, but for the reasons why you have said yourself, and you're like, wait, did you not see that as a very clear joke, or do you actually think I'm being dead serious when I say certain things in certain way? And it all just became a fucking mess, and that's I mean that, along with multiple other reasons, is why I think my channel started very slowly dying from 2015 onwards. And but it's all linked. It's really weird now that, when you're thinking about it, it's like the very simple question of how did you get into video games? It's like, well, that's how, that's why, and that's why it's led on to what I do now and how I used to do things. And nowadays, my relationship with video games is completely fucking different. It's completely different, but it's healthier, and it's way more fun. Way more fun.
Oh, yeah, and that's like I was actually just talking with my roommate the other day, where it's like, I kind of play and experience games in a very different way now than I used to, like before getting into the YouTube stuff. And I think a part of that is like the way that I kind of meet with games, and the way that I enjoy them, and the way that like certain things just kind of roll off my shoulders, where once upon a time I would have had to think, oh, I gotta really play up how stupid this is. Definitely a lot of that was me feeling influenced by reviews that I had seen, and like the funny
probably
bits.
Me, probably people like me.
Well,
and that's
it's people like I mean, to a degree. I'd say like that. Maybe to a limited degree, Johnny, big time, old Papa James Rolfe, but and then
I don't think there's a problem with that. I think a lot of people, when they started seeing AVGN, who's opinions of the person or whatever aside, is essentially I think arguably the godfather of the, like, I would probably even say online web show, like successful online web show of ideas. And then the fact it's about video games is a plus, but that's because James Rolfe he went to film school. He's a filmmaker. My personal opinion is that he's not the dreaded G word. I don't think he's one of them. I don't think he's a gamer. I think he is a movie buff, and that was an idea he just had. And is it anyone else's fault that they took it? Like, it's not his fault that I maybe took some of his things so to heart, where it was almost like, the reason this is funny is because it is true, rather than it's funny because it's exaggerated.
Yeah.
And then that kind of bleeds in, and it's kind of funny, and we can't blame ourselves for looking at that, because we saw something that we kind of thought, oh my god, I want to create things, and I also like video games. That's a guy creating things, and he also likes video games. And even though you probably were aware he was a character, I knew he was a character, but it's still bled. And then you've got people like you and me, where it was like, oh, so it bled a little bit, but then you've got other people who think, oh, the AVGN is like the gospel, and if he says that something in an NES game is a shitload of fuck, and he is going to like overly analyze something that does not need to be overanalyzed, oh, that's how you do critique, and he's successful doing it, I'll do that now. And the funniest thing is that, again, looking back, that's not even what I went into this whole YouTube thing to do in the first place, but it just kind of happened. And like I said, the reason is because you look at something like AVGN, and then you think back about your past experiences as a kid being bullied or whatever for liking, fucking Silent Hill, and then it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna take that negative energy and show these people that A, I know what I'm talking about, and B, I can be successful to a degree doing it because this person's doing it, but it's a completely different angle. And of course that's going to lead to misunderstandings and all that kind of shit. Of course it is. Yeah,
and it's like, it's interesting because like getting further along in it. And I think a part of it too is like you and I are both getting a little older. I think we're about the same age, more or less.
Yeah, so I'm 31. I turned 31 in June. So.
I turned 31 July.
Hey, there you go, 94 baby, 94 baby. Yeah.
I think we're like maybe a couple of weeks apart. But it's like we're getting a little older. We've taken on different responsibilities, but more responsibilities, and we're just kind of mellowing out to a certain degree.
Absolutely. I think it's funny as well because, like, again, like older me, 10 years ago me, if somebody was to be like, oh yeah, video games and what, like you have no life, that would have really hurt my feelings, and then that would then spur me on to go extra hardcore and, well, no, I actually have a life, and that's because video games are this and that, and then obviously that you fall back into the trap again, but as a, you know, someone living away from home and with a job and, you know, blah, so you fall back into that trap. But it also is like, if someone was to say that now, not only would it not hurt me, and that's because you get older and shit like that just doesn't mean anything anymore, but also there's an element, must stress, of truth to a statement like that, where it's like, when whether it's from your fault or someone else's fault or just things happening, when other things happen in your life, stuff like that kind of does end up becoming, oh yeah, video games are now my escape, they are still my hobby, they are still something that I hold very dear to my heart, but is it my obsession? Is it my thing that I want to make every fucking fiber of my being about? No, because life happens, and it's that kind of comment now, actually, like, weirdly, I look back and I'm like, you know something, when people used to say I had no life, it doesn't mean because I had no career or because I wasn't making, you know, according to the audience at the time, at least, decent videos. It's because, well, what was my life? It was playing games and pushing videos out as fast as possible. That's not a life. And it's just interesting. Like, it's because I would never say that to anybody. I'd never say that to anybody. But thinking back about, like, if someone was to say that to me, it's like, oh yeah, no, like, life has happened in other ways other than video games, and it changes your perspective, it changes your priorities, it changes a lot, and I think it does for the better, in my personal opinion. It allows you to respect it, enjoy it a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, I've felt just kind of with like the different kinds of games that I've gotten into over the years and like how my taste has developed and stuff like that. I found that a lot of the games that I enjoy the most are especially games that will be based on or highlighting something, you know, from my real life that I appreciate, or maybe a mundane thing I take for granted, and it just kind of like makes you satisfied to maybe put down the controller and just go experience life a little bit, and maybe kind of use that as a gateway to just appreciate something you did before.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, video game addiction is a thing. Social media addiction is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
These things are things, and yeah, you know, every so often, like when I'm not like crunching to get something done or whatever, like every so often there'll be a moment where it's like, oh yeah, fucking like so like I've only played 3 hours of Silk Song, and I desperately want to play more. I haven't had time because like I was just saying, life happens,
yeah.
and I wouldn't have it any other way, obviously. But it's like, oh, I started playing that. It was like winding down at the time. I was winding down for the day, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like 10 p.m. and I'll just like try it for an hour because I was exhausted and I, you know, up early in the morning and blah blah blah. And yeah, like I said, 3 hours, and then by the time I look up and look around, it's like, yeah, 2 in the morning. It's like, so yeah, I'm still capable of having that shit happen to me, and that's because I like video games. But that you don't have to make it an identifier. It's not like your whole being, your whole reason, your whole everything.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean passion isn't there. It doesn't mean that you're insulting other people that do enjoy it more than you. But I think it's important to kind of explain that and have that be made clear, because there are instances where people are gonna assume that you're more into it than you actually are, and then you have to kind of sadly let them down and be like, you know something, like what's the most recent thing I've been playing? It's like, oh yeah, have you heard this? Have you played that? What do you think? Like I haven't, because I don't have time, or I'm not like I respect my time a lot more nowadays, where it's like, if I don't care, why would I even look into it, kind of thing. And yeah, and I guess, yeah, the mystique needs to be kind of dropped a little bit, and everyone needs to remember that everyone's an individual for more facets than just the thing that they love. And that's beginning to happen, I think. But it only comes with experiencing things. And then, like I said, you can then enjoy your thing that you love, I think, with a new angle, more appreciation, more respect. Like, random example, I stopped looking, like, not even looking, engaging with leaks on Twitter and stuff years ago. And it's like, you have absolutely no idea how much nicer it is to be off the grid in that sense. And then it's like, older me, 10 years ago me, would have been, oh my god, Nintendo Direct is happening this day, this time. What time? 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, my time? Fuck it. It's Nintendo and I have to, because it's my job, and I also love video games, which means I have to. And then I have to talk about it and I have to engage with it. Whereas now, but then now it's like, I'll find out something through the grapevine, or I'll be surprised, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I would much rather be out of the loop and then like, oh, this new game came out, didn't realize that had come out, cool, let's play it. And then a thing will happen, an Easter egg or a reference or something, and then I can enjoy it more organically because of that, because I haven't even thought about looking up, oh, the newest GTA 6 leak, or the newest Naughty Dog leak, or any kind of leak. I don't care. I would rather be surprised. That's how it used to be for me when I was a kid. It was like, be surprised by the demo disc, be surprised by the magazine coverage when you didn't have it on TV or internet all the time. And that distance has made me enjoy it so much more, like, just as a hobby. But that's just me. Like, one size doesn't fit all. This is,
Oh, sure. And it's like, I'll still enjoy, like, the little hype cycles and the directs and everything, but, like, I am at the point where I really only go out of my way to watch them live if, like, oh, I can get on with Booker or Nick, and we can, like, watch them as their, be a thing to, like, bond with friends over.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because it's not about, like, what you've just described, and this links back to what I was trying to say badly, but, like, what you're saying is the other things in your life have enhanced it.
Yeah.
You make it a social event. Me, back in the day, would have been, I'm alone in my flat, and it's 3 and 4 in the morning, and I have to watch Direct. And I was thinking to myself, like, do I actually want to, or do I have to? Do I feel like I have to because it's my job? Do I actually... It's not even about liking Nintendo or liking video games. Do I like being awake for this? And what am I getting out of it other than just shit to talk about, which I would be already talking about or playing or making a video about once it comes out? What am I doing all of this for? Months and months pre to it. And I guess, like, looking at people online about, like, Metroid Prime 4, for instance, and seeing how many people have driven themselves insane waiting. And it's like, is that healthy? I don't know. There's excitement, and then there's, this desperation. And I could feel myself falling into that. And I saw it with Silksong. I just mentioned Silksong.
Yeah.
And then eventually that leads into, this is taking too long, and then it becomes bitter and resentment, and then when the thing finally comes out, you play it, and then it's obviously not going to live up to the fucking hype. And if people got into video games as a kid, you weren't doing that as a kid. And so when you play a video game that you loved as a kid, but you could probably say is not very good nowadays, or it's aged or whatever, you enjoyed it and you liked it, most likely because you weren't actively engaging in the hype cycle on your own or anything. You'd be talking on Playground and stuff about it, but then, hey, you're talking with people. It's not about just the video game, it's the social aspect, like what you said about watching Nintendo Direct with friends, shooting the shit, riffing. That's another aspect to things. And what was the other thing I was going to say? It's weird, right? That's the reason I stopped watching E3, not because I give a fuck about, you know, the game announcements. It was the second I realized it was all going to be pre-planned and streamed, and there was going to be no mistakes. That's when I lost interest. The video games were a bonus, you know?
Well,
and, yeah.
Well, that's like I probably wouldn't really bother with like the Game Awards, but I'll go and watch them if only because my friend Cullen will put together like little get-togethers for that, and we'll go over and to his place and drink and eat food and like riff with each other over the trailers. That's the best part of it. Like you said, is it enhances another part of life, and I think that's even like being able to discuss things. I think it's part of the reason why I like this podcast so much, is just being able to connect with people through a common interest. And like it's an avenue for conversation, for connection, and for thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like there are people, like, take aside what you do for a living, what I do for a living. Take aside all of that. If I was somebody that was as obsessed with video games in general as other people, I wouldn't be here. I'd be playing video games, you know? And it's, it's just interesting. Yeah, life is a very vast, rich tapestry, and it doesn't harm to, still appreciate and respect what it is, but then, be able to take, touch grass, as they say. It's not just for your own good. It also helps you understand different views, visions, perspectives. It forms a new relationship with things, a healthier relationship with things, and it allows you to then look back fondly rather than be feeling pressured to be a part of everything. And I think maybe that kind of started happening for me in the mid-2010s when, the Call of Duties were becoming the thing, and I was just like, I don't like online multiplayer games, and I don't massively like, at the time I didn't like first-person shooters, so I was like, oh well. So when I bought it on PS3, am I doing this because video games and that's it? Is it actually because it's like, I like video games and now everyone is playing this specific video game and I'm not being made fun of anymore, so maybe I'm gonna play this video game. Yeah. And truth be told, I did do that and I fucking hated it. So it was like, well then why am I doing this? What is my relationship with the medium? And I don't know. It's just so much. To me, it's just so much nicer on just a base level to be able to go, I loved Hollow Knight, and then I knew Silk Song was coming, and I knew it had taken years and years and years, but it's like, am I going to search news? No. Am I going to engage with new leaks and new trailers all the time? No. And then the game comes out, and then immediately I just feel better, and I'm more excited to see what the fuck is going to happen. And then stuff that probably doesn't mean much to other people because they already knew about it or whatever, it means way more to me. And then when if I was then to turn around and say, if I were to do a review, which I wouldn't, but if I were to do a review and say, well, this is like a very fresh, organic, surprising thing, other people could probably go, well, it wasn't that surprising because actually it was done here at this point and done there at that point. And it's like, okay, you might be literally correct, but is there a part of you that's done that to yourself by looking too deep into it all the time? Because you look at some of your favorite games as a kid and it's like, I don't know, like if a lot of them are shit, then you clearly weren't thinking that at that time. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it, but
I think there's a bit of both, and that's like I said, is like I definitely experience games in a different way now than I used to. And it's like I'll play something now, and something I super enjoy is being able to go in and just kind of see, is kind of experience the escapism, but also to just kind of enjoy something a bunch of people put together. And it's almost kind of like experiencing the work of a team of people that came to make something as part of the enjoyment.
Do you know something? That is a perfect way to put it. I was just thinking as you were saying that, the difference of me as a human being from, I'm just gonna say the last decade of growth in my life, just for the sake of argument. A lot of that I think comes down to a very, very straightforwardly, older me would have been, I love video games, whereas nowadays it would be, I love this thing that so happens to be a video game. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Because Like, and the reason I started thinking that is because I'm looking at my Gmail right now. It's open on another screen, and I just got weirdly a Nintendo Direct email, and it's the official trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And here's the funny thing about that: when the first movie came out, I didn't realize how much of a rut I was in terms of my relationship with the medium of video games, because it was like, well, it's the Mario Bros. Movie, of course. Like, of it, I was gonna see it anyway.
Yeah.
But then I watched it and I was like, oh, you know, this is pretty enjoyable. Like, I liked that. And then it came on again on TV over the Christmas, the year that the film came out. It was on just streaming on some TV channel as background noise for family Christmas kids movie. And I was watching it again, like, oh, I haven't seen this since it came out. And you know something? I didn't like it. And I realized, is there actually a part of me that even began watching it just because video game? And do I have to, like I was saying earlier in this conversation, do I have to feel like I have to defend a thing or have to be, you know, looking at a thing in a certain way? Because yes, this Nintendo Direct email just came up. It said the Super Mario Galaxy movie trailer, and I don't care. I just fucking don't. And that doesn't mean I hate Mario, and it doesn't mean I hate film, and it doesn't mean I hate Nintendo. It's just like, I don't need to, and I feel fine about that. But I would have felt the pressure back then.
Yeah.
And it's fine to be like, it's not your thing. And just because it is a video game thing or related to a video game or whatever, it's like, yeah, you know, I like the Mario games because they are the Mario games. The first Mario movie, it did what it did to say to me that this Galaxy movie is not going to be for me, and that's fine. It's for other people. But do I have to put myself through it just because? No, I don't. Because other things in life have to. If I had to prioritize it, it's like, well, no, I'd rather do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I had an experience with the Mario Brothers movie, because like I remember thinking it was fine, but I didn't find it particularly interesting, like as a film.
No.
And I think especially with like animated movies, I went to school for animation. I've got some pretty heavy thoughts and opinions about like the medium.
Okay. So wait, if you're a '94 baby, are you talking hand drawn or CG?
Little bit of both. I've done a little bit of both. I'm not.
Oh, nice.
I'm so out of practice, and I've barely done anything with my degree since I graduated. But I've got a
I've heard that before, yeah.
I've got a bachelor's degree in animation, but you know,
that's crazy.
You would never know it. But I've gotten to do like hand drawn, like on physical paper, like animation before.
Sick.
I've gotten to do some 3D animation, and that's what I initially went in for. And damn it, I still want to. Like I want to open up Blender and get familiar with it. And I mean I really want to make video games one day, but yeah, we'll see what happens if it happens. Sorry, off topic, but very opinionated.
Sorry, dude. Do not even fucking begin to apologize going off topic. How much of my voice, like what percentage? 85% has been me just talking bullshit and not getting my points out properly. So yeah, don't worry about it. You go off. It's your show. You go off.
But I'm very opinionated about animation, and it's just like I just don't think Illumination is a very interesting studio, and I don't think that the Mario movie was particularly great. I liked moments of it for sure.
Yeah. I think the best thing is Charlie Day as Luigi. That's the best fucking thing. And
yeah,
it's like even then, it's like, you know, the Peaches song became a meme, and when I was watching the movie the first time, I kind of chuckled a little bit, and then I realized it was becoming a meme, and then I was like, you know, whether you want to call this kind of a weird form of subliminal, you know, subconscious messaging or something, but I started, because it was appearing so much, I started hearing the music again and seeing the scene again and thinking, this is actually just really not funny.
Yeah.
And why did I find it? And because it didn't take long, and it's not even like, oh, it's so annoying. I just didn't find it very funny or interesting, and it's like, I don't know, and then you start thinking, well, why did it become a meme? Is it actually just because it's Bowser singing that's funny, or is it because he's saying the name of another video game character funny, and that's funny because we don't get many video game films, and because this film looks pretty good, that means they're trying with a video game film. And
for me, it was.
I know.
For me, it was weird because I felt like the whole joke was from a dated meta sense of just like, hey, remember Tenacious D? And Jack Black sings, and he does that.
But Tenacious D is still a thing. Like they're still making music.
Is it really?
You didn't know?
I did not. I'm very out of the loop with a lot of stuff these days. But...
I mean, that's fair. They're still. I mean, the most. I mean, okay, I'll burst the bubble for you. So they haven't. They are. I think they're going to be playing together again very soon. But I want to say it was around the first Trump assassination attempt. I know this sounds weird.
Okay.
But it was around then.
I remember this. Okay,
yes,
I remember
that was Tenacious
this.
D. Yeah, so they're still going.
Oh,
yeah, they're still going.
God, what a blur of the past, like, however... Man, that was just last year, wasn't it? I'm losing my mind. This is...
But yeah, so that's the thing. And I guess... but also, like, again, if I had come to this realization specifically about the Mario film and how I maybe actually really thought about it looking back, if I'd come to this same realization I just explained to you 10 years ago, I then would have gone down the route of, well, if you liked it, then you clearly just fucking didn't notice this, and objectively this, and, well, factually this. And I'm now at a point where it's like, actually, I like, does it matter? Like, my opinion is my opinion. Like, you've got opinions about animation. Everyone's got opinions about anything, and you can be passionate about those opinions. But you will get to a point where it's almost like, would me coming to that realization back then had meant that I then felt I had to then say something for the good of the culture because I'm important and I have a soapbox now? Or is it now more just about like, I've come to a realization, and does this affect my relationship with film, Nintendo, or Mario, or video game? No. And is it not for me? Very much yes. And I'm not interested. I can't be bothered with the Galaxy film. I know I'm not going to like it. And if you think you're going to like it, cool. And that's the end. You just kind of get to a point of just being like, you resign to the idea that things maybe are there to make money and everyone hates you, and you can only be bitter about it for so fucking long. It's like, you know, the reason that the Mario film did well is because it's bright, colorful, animated well, voiced well, and it's Mario. That's why. Mario is basically Japanese Disney. He's like Mickey Mouse, sorry, at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you look at like the Nintendo business practices from the last 2-3 years and the legal cases that they've been involved in. And then you start realizing, wait, so the hobby that I was so fucking adamant to defend to the death back 10 odd years ago, is it actually, like, again, am I doing this because that's how I personally feel with my relationship to it? Or is it because I want the medium to be taken more seriously and more recognized, when in reality, the industry is the industry, the same way that the film industry, the music industry is a thing, and it's fucking terrible, and it's awful and shit, and no one likes you or cares about you. And by the way, $500 plus for the Switch 2, please, in cost of living crisis. Whatever the reasons may or may not be, it's like, you know, okay, I guess it just goes back to my whole thing about detachment. It's just realizing what your own enjoyment of the thing, the medium, whatever, and where is that actual limit, and is the limit there because you put it there, or is it an arbitrary thing, or is it a, you know, an unhealthy relationship thing? And I think you know, a lot of people may be coming to that kind of realization as time goes on, but I don't know, that's just me anyway.
No, I get you too, and I think that there's definitely something to be said for, you know, you can even have like really big opinions and like feel super strongly about certain stuff, but how do you portray that energy? Like, what do you do with that? And
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, and I can tell everybody listening to this, as well as you, I can tell everybody, as depressing as it might sound to say. And I'm just, you know, I'm only the guy that made the video, so my opinion is basically final on this, and it's correct. The videos I was doing through a certain period of time, and I'm going to just use the general 2015 to 2019, but those videos were made or written or presented cynically, and not as a kind of, oh, I'm being cynical, but cynically as in a kind of disrespect for the audience way, in the sense of, if I was sharing opinions about, you know, a certain game, whether it was infamously bad or a classic or whatever, I was sharing them not as toxic as, you know, other people, but in my own way of toxic, where it was like, the way I was writing it was, I have an audience, there is a reason maybe I have an audience, and it might be because I think I know what I'm talking about, when in reality, I don't. And the sad thing in reality is that I also never really wanted to fall down that road, but I ended up doing it because the popularity and all that shit the ego gets to your head a little bit.
Yeah.
And people respond in a certain, and people comment and respond very emotionally and very passionately, but then you got to think, well, it's in text, so is it a joke? Is it sarcasm? Is it a robot? Is it, you know, whatever? Like, are you backing me up because you actually think that I hate the people that make the show Peppa Pig, or are you playing into the joke? Or do you think it's a joke? Or wait, and is that why this video is successful? And wait, why did I write that in that way? Why did I talk about the animation when I know fucking nothing about how the animation industry works or toddlers TV shows? Or is it just because I wrote most of my videos in that kind of style at a point in time in my channel's history, where it was like, the jokes and everything else, you know, whatever, they were the secondary point, they were the accident, whereas the main thing was, I have extremely strong opinions on this, and that's fine, but those opinions were coming from a point of, I know what I'm talking about, and I've got the audience to prove it, and I want people to start listening to me so that the industry can be better, kind of thing. And that's not me, and yet that's what it was kind of coming across as. People can tell me that that's not how it came across to them. That's great. I'm glad. That means I got lucky, because that's what my head was doing. I can tell you as the guy that made the videos, and, you know, for that, along with every other fucking reason, age, and, you know, looking back and cringing at your younger self. Oh, like, I wish it was just that with some of my older videos. Not all of them, must stress, but some of my older videos. But it's not. It's that, and the entire process of creating those and where my head was at and why I was doing it, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, because I can even go back and look at the way that I was making videos for a bit there, and it's just like, man, there is so much. There's so much from some of those videos, and the way that I would have like carried myself and portrayed my thoughts on things, I would do completely differently now.
Absolutely.
It's why I think it would be fun to kind of like go back and do commentary tracks on some of my original videos, to just kind of be like, hey, you know, here's how much has changed since then, and let me just kind of riff on myself a little bit here. And just kind of...
It was it's funny, yeah, because I've thought about doing that too, but I think, like, the way I describe it to people when they seem to get really confused, or like there was a meme when I had more time to stream. There was a meme that like is like, oh, in before Caddy starts like slagging off his past self. And it's like, yeah, it happened a lot, but that's because people would bring it up in like donations and stuff, and they would be like, you know, oh, like, I don't get why you hate your stuff from this year or that year, and then I would have to kind of re-explain myself. And it's not about the individual videos, it's not about, you know, how they've aged, or it's like, because that goes without saying. You can look at a video of mine from 2012 or 2013 and go, well, that doesn't look very good, and you can tell it's technically very rough, and the editing isn't quite there, and maybe the audio sounds a bit shit. That goes without saying. With me, it's that on top of the general mindset of me at a certain point in my channel's history going into the creation, on top of the agedness of the process and the production of those videos, where it's almost like, yeah, no, I can tell you with this video or that video that I was pushing this out for this reason, and I was pushing that one out for that reason, and then, you know, blah 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 blah. So what I like to tell people is that if I look at anything back from 2012 to 2014, the initial, you know, growth of my channel in the very early days, that's when I'm like, that is primitive, primordial ooze me now. I can see what I was trying to do, because there wasn't that everything we've talked about already. That weight wasn't on me, and I was just focused on I want to try and be funny, and I also kind of want to do a video gamey creative thing, and then maybe I can make it work. And I wasn't being paid until April 2014, and so there was all of those elements. So I was untethered, I was unchained. That was more raw me. And even then, that's aged. So I still cringe. And I look back and like, oh, Jesus, why did I say that? Why did I look like that? Why did I say this in that way? All the stuff we've already talked about today. But I don't have that added baggage of where I was in my life from like 2015 to 2019. And because of where I was in my life, why that influenced the way I made a thing or presented a thing or gave my audience a thing that they deserved better. And why didn't I grow? And like what kind of, like did I actually contribute much in terms of a grander conversation to like how people think about a certain game or show or whatever, when it's like I was pushing it out for the sake of pushing it out, and people then thought I was doing it seriously. But you know, you can mask that seriousness with, oh, every so often he did a joke, which means he mustn't have meant it like that. And I can say, no, the jokes were there because that's just what I like doing. I like trying to be funny. I like trying to be funny. And what ends up coming out in the serious angle is, like, again, it's luck. If you can't put both together, because in my head I wasn't putting both together. The natural stuff that was coming out was, I want to try and make as many jokes as possible, but also this is like a disgrace to the animation community, a disgrace to the video game community. And it's like it really clashes, and you know, and that's kind of why there's a load of factors to it. Yeah.
And I mean, if it helps, and I think it's like, I don't think it's worth discrediting, hey, looking back on something and realizing you've grown, and just being like, hey, recognizing the headspace that you were in and how that was influencing you at the time is definitely a good and mature thing. But if it helps, I did mention, like, watching a lot of your stuff definitely helped inspire me to do what I do now. And that was the era, it's like the 2015 through 2019. It was like me getting ready to go off to college and everything. And like, those videos were definitely something that lent a lot of inspiration at the time. So it's like, there's merit to it, but it's also like, yeah, you can take the good with the bad.
Absolutely. And first of all, I really appreciate that, and I would never begrudge. And that's the other thing, is that a lot of people take it personally when I start being horrible about my my past self. But like I said, 2012 to 2014, I'm just talking about like my, where I can see me as a human being and a creative person, where I think I could see what I was trying to do. I can see what I was trying to do 2012 to 2014. So I look back and I cringe, and that's basically it, because you do grow, you do get better, you technically improve, blah blah blah. But then that element of cringe, but then on top of everything else. So, but I'd never ever begrudge anybody for it meaning something to you at that point or whatever, and that is the main reason why I haven't deleted those videos, because I know that for a lot of people that they have meant something. But that is why I'm gonna put in the fucking title that this is not me, this is not who I am, this is not what I'm about. And I don't want people who are discovering my channel to, I just treat everybody as though they're not going to look at the description or the upload date or anything, which I think is a safe thing to do nowadays with the TikTok generation. So it's like, well, if I put it in the title, then if you don't like it, well, that's the reason. It's old in big capital letters, and it's not who I am and not what I do. And if you thought that rubbed you a bit the wrong way, or you thought I was being too pretentious, or you thought that it sounded too bad or looked too bad, well, then yeah, it's old. I put it in the title. And you can still think those things from 2020 videos of mine onwards, and that's fine, but I know what I was attempting to do, and I'm prouder of that, and I understand, I'm more comfortable with that, I suppose is what I'm saying, because I know that from 2020 onwards, my only concern was making as good of a thing as I could that I wanted to make for an audience that I had grown over the 8 years or so up until that point that I had grown, and I wanted to respect them. And 2015 to 2019, no respect whatsoever. It was push it out to try and fight an algorithm that doesn't like me, hates everybody, and the only way that I could possibly compete is if I was doing multiple videos a day, even in 2015, which I wasn't doing. So, it's just kind of, yeah, it's a little bit sad and a little bit annoying, but you know, it got me where I am, and people have liked it, and that's absolutely fine. But I hope that people get where I'm coming from when I try and explain that angle of it, because I can get why it might sound a bit confusing or hypocritical, and it's not. It's just difficult to explain.
Especially when it's just like, I think people will... There will definitely sometimes be people that read it entirely as like a self-deprecating thing, when it's really more of just like, hey, you can look back on something and celebrate that this is where you were and here's where you are now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I just like, if people are okay with knowing that the videos they probably really liked or grew up with or whatever they want to tell me, if they're okay with knowing that there's a giant chunk of years worth of those videos where they weren't made out of any kind of real drive, well, the drive was there, but passion, I suppose, is the word I would use. Because like I was like, the effort, the drive was there, and the energy was there, but it wasn't for the reason of treating the audience with respect or trying to make a good thing for them to enjoy. It was about just getting stuff done and then being too comfortable rather, with the fact that, hey, it's YouTube, it's independent, so all the stuff that everyone else would usually be complained at when it comes to like a Netflix series or something, that won't apply to me because it's YouTube and it doesn't mean anywhere near as much. And so yeah, I'm comfortable with just not making sure that this is as good as it can be. The important thing is that I get it done as quick as possible. And that's an insulting thing. That is an insulting thing. If I wanted to do things and not insult the audience doing that, I'd be a Let's Player. I'd be a streamer, like a daily streamer.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing, because then you're doing the best version of what you can possibly do, and do it frequently. But yeah, lots of those videos, 2015 to 2019, that is not the best version of what I could do, and it was being done quickly for the sake of it, and trying to, you know, stay afloat and try and generate income. And it's just sad because it suffers. And that's the problem as well. People forget the context of upload time and speed and all that stuff. It vanishes like instantly. So back in the day, even if I wanted to say to myself, like, oh, I know this video isn't perfect, and like, I'm not gonna, you know, worry too much about this or worry too much about that. But the important thing is that the audience are getting like 2 to 3 videos a week, sometimes 4 with Patreon. So it's like, oh my god, well, that's the important thing, because YouTube told me consistency, and I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna have a very, very good upload schedule, and it's gonna be great. And the problem is that at the time, that's lovely for people that want to watch everything you do, because they're getting shit from you every other day. Give it a month, give it a year, those videos just now exist. They've just sit there and they exist in the state that they were in for the rest of time. And we've all seen the thing about rushed video games. We've seen what happened with rushed films. And the problem is that I have got 4 solid years of hundreds of rushed things, and it's just not the nicest feeling, you know?
Yeah, I get a bit of that too. There's definitely a couple of projects where I look back on it, I'm just like, I wish I had done this differently. I wish I had taken more time. And I feel like you and I were actually talking about earlier, was just like enforcing some arbitrary deadline for the sake of it, like really just leads to undermining the entire process. It's creation versus content.
That is so... Jesus Christ. That is, like, okay, for everyone that doesn't know, we were having it was like an hour. We had like a bit of a personal chat before we hit record today, and it's so weird you have said those exact words. I swear to God, those words that Wayne just said were not said in the conversation. I'm almost certain that what you just said is basically what I was saying in my in the recent TED talk that went up.
Oh yeah, like, there you go.
I think because the point I was trying to make, even though I essentially for 17 minutes in that talk, I'm basically saying, yeah, so I'm a content creator. By the way, fuck content. Content sucks. But the idea is creation above all. I think that's even in the thumbnail. I think it's like, it's so weird when you say content versus creating. Like that's essentially what the whole point. Yeah. It's about, if you want to be able to make let's plays, and you can get that shit done daily, and that's a happy accident. And I was stuck in this kind of rut of, I don't want to do let's plays, but I also want to get stuff done quickly. But does that mean I'm going to hire someone to help with editing or writing? Nah, because I want to do it my way. But I can't. It's like, and so the creation angle just didn't matter anymore. It suffered because I was too into the content brain. And if you're into the content brain and it just so happens that, if you're in the creation brain and it just so happens that what you do can be, arguably described as content, or it's like you can get multiple things done per day or multiple things done per week, and you don't have to do much editing, you don't have to do much planning, writing, or anything, then the important thing is that you're creating what you want to create. The problem with me is that I was doing the content thing, but I wasn't creating what I wanted to create, and everything fucking failed, despite me doing everything that YouTube was telling me to do and the studio was telling me to do, and like, oh, you need to upload this frequently, the videos need to be this long for watch time, and they need to be about trending topics. But they don't know what you're uploading, they don't know what you do, they don't know who you are, what team you have or don't have. And it's just funny, you break the rules because, again, creation above all, that's the lesson. You break the rules because you just want to make a thing that's good. And I think you'll find, looking in the history of everything ever that has had, good reviews in music or film or anything, it's because they wanted to make a thing that they wanted to make in the first place. And not enough people talk about the luck, but the luck is more, the luck is good. The luck will happen whether or not you're doing one thing or the other anyway. So if the luck applies to everybody, then you might as well just do your own thing. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You can't fucking fight it. If you go on to, I say this in the talk, sorry, I'm just going off on
you're fine.
The talking points now, but if you go to, I can't even think the name of it. Wait a minute, I'm going to see if I can find it. YouTube advertisers. Where is it? I can't even find it. There is wait. If I just Google it, how many videos are uploaded to YouTube a day? So there is, and this is an official, that's it, YouTube for press. So if you go to blog.youtube/press, you can scroll down a little bit and you will see from YouTube officially, on average, there are over 20 million videos uploaded daily to YouTube. That's the number you are fighting with. So when you start thinking about, I want to make my own show that I write myself, star myself in, perform myself, edit myself, is doing it quickly any part of the process? Does that even fucking compute? When it's like, even when you're trying to think about, well, I mean, I'm talking about video games, so I'm going to try and get something done as frequently as a Let's Player. Yeah, Let's Players can do 2 videos a day. Yeah. You've already lost.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then you add on 19 million and other fucking videos, and you're like, okay, why am I doing this? And the funniest thing is that even on I'm reading it right now, it says that quote, on average there are over 20 million videos uploaded daily to YouTube, and then the quote underneath it, that's a lot of content.
Yeah.
And this is why the implications of the word content are fucking dreadful. I hate it. And I know that lots of other people hate that word too. And the funniest thing, again, like we've been talking about when it comes to our hobbies, our interests, our likes, our dislikes, and all that stuff, older me, 10 years ago, I would have been hurt if I didn't like the label content and then someone started calling me a content creator. And nowadays, it's like, no, if you want to call me that, fine. It's a label. I don't give a shit. I will happily wear a badge that says content creator because I'm not a petty fucking white knight for the greater good. I'm a person that wants to make things, and I don't care if, why would I care about that when someone else could say, I'm not going to call your stuff content, but I still think it's shit. I was like, well, now I've just given myself more things to be upset about. So no, I don't care if people want to call it content, and I don't care what they want to label it as. I'm not going to call my stuff art, and I'm not going to call it content either. I just make things. I just create things. I don't really know what to call it, but
yeah,
the word content, man, the word content fuck it. It sucks. It's awful. It's terrible.
It's like I feel bad too because I'm pretty sure I called it that earlier within this this podcast.
And that's and so doesn't that just prove my point?
Yeah.
Doesn't that prove my point that like older me, I would have heard you say that, and even though you would have absolutely no reason to assume that I would be upset about that, or that I'd just done a talk about how I don't like the usage of that word in a more casual YouTube creativity kind of space. You could have not known any of that, which you didn't, and I could have taken that directly personally, and 10 years ago I probably would have done, and that would have flavored the rest of the talk. Oof. And doesn't that just go to prove the point that it's like, you know, you experience life, you grow up, you have different things happen to you, perspectives get shifted, priorities change, and then when you can then take a step back and be like, in the same way I feel about video games, in the same way I feel about films, in the same way I feel about making videos, when you can take a step back and go, I love doing this thing, but do I love it that much where I'm taking it that fucking seriously, where someone could just down the streets say, oh look, it's that content creator, and then I start having a little hissy fit about it.
Yeah.
It's like, does that mean I even like what I do in the first place? If you like what you do, you shouldn't give a fuck. Which is how I treated video games as a kid. And that is exactly it. It all loops back, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, and I think a part of that is one of the reasons I'm glad I kind of got into this whole thing. I think it's easy to start the content creation process, and I got a feeling you probably hit this in your TED Talk, but it's like,
yes, Wayne hasn't seen it. For anyone that does it, he hasn't seen it. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He's not repeating himself or anything. It's fine.
But it's just like, I think a lot of people, and I'm not going to pretend I wasn't a part of it. A lot of people will start this and they'll be like, oh, I've seen like people at MagFest, and I've seen like content creators are basically these micro celebrities, and it would be so cool to be a YouTuber and be famous and known for having an opinion. And you start that, and then you just get yourself into a hole. Like, you just trap yourself. Because you become that thing. That's what you become. Yeah.
And that's part of the thing. Like, I mean, I can't remember exactly, like, that whole fucking talk. This talk was 17 and a half minutes. It felt like 2. So I can't remember a lot of what I said. I just went on stage, did my thing, and went off. So, but I want to say that maybe I addressed that kind of idea. Maybe I didn't, but the whole idea of, like, because of the word content and the implications of it as a word, a definable word, because I hear content and I just think stuff. Like,
yeah,
a shit on a shelf. Like, the amount. I like, oh yeah, have you read that book recently? Or have you read that content recently? No, the content is what's in the book, but the book is the book. So when people, like, it just never felt right to me. Even in the mid-2010s, it never felt right to me when people would say, I create content. What the fuck does that mean? And why did everyone adopt it? And why did nobody think it sounded a bit strange? Because I think it's quite demeaning and quite, you know... And again, that's just what I think. And if someone, like, because then people are going to go, oh yeah, then does that mean that you will get upset with me if I call your stuff content or you're a content creator? No, I don't give a fuck, because I like what I do. That's the whole thing I'm trying to get at. But the whole, yeah, I think it kind of gears people up for this idea. Like, I want to be on YouTube and I want to be a content creator. Mm-hmm. That immediately says to me, you want to just make stuff as quickly as possible, as low effort as possible, and hopefully passive income. You know, that's an unfair thing to think, and I'm fully aware of that. That's just how I hear the word content. But then it just makes me think, like, if a music video goes up, does Lady Gaga go, hey everybody, I just uploaded some new content?
Yeah.
It's like, it's on YouTube, it's on the same platform as everything else. What makes a content creator? And does that mean that definably, or like, what elements are there, what, you know, genre defining aspects are there to say that a 90-minute video of me going into excruciating, ridiculous depth while flying all over the world talking about Crash Bandicoot plushies, what's that got in any relation to a podcast? What are the similarities aside from the place it's uploaded. Because I don't call myself a YouTuber either, because the second I think YouTuber, I think old school. I think you're Smosh and you're Shane Dawson. And you think about all of that stuff because the word YouTuber implies a certain thing. Because YouTube itself was a budding, new, exciting thing that meant it could compete with Hollywood because more stuff could be done quicker. Sketches could be made by anybody and done quickly and frequently, and vlogging and all that stuff. So YouTuber to me has this view of, well, if you're making a short film, do you call yourself a YouTuber for doing that? Or do you call yourself a YouTuber because you just so happen to upload to YouTube? And then by that extension, same thing can apply to content creator. And it's just, yeah, the more I hear, I can't even say the word, and it might be my accent, just content. It just doesn't sound right. It just sounds weird. And yeah, I don't know. It just gears people up to think, straight away that what they want to do on YouTube is make things for the sake of making it and hopefully get paid for it. But maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I hear it.
And I think a part of it too, like especially for myself, was there was definitely a very like misguided, like, hey, here's a thing that I can do where I feel like I matter, and where I feel like I'm doing something that people take seriously. And I think there was definitely a period of time where there was a sort of romanticized idea of what being in that space was. And I think that goes to people's heads a lot. All of that is to say, I'm glad I grew out of that. And
it took me a while, but yeah, no, I get you, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think it's maybe icky to kind of admit that it's just like, oh yeah, no, I started this because I kind of wanted to be famous in some small little way, but I did, and I'm glad that that's not the priority anymore, because I'm not in that mindset anymore, and now it's just like, well, no, now I actually care about what I make. Now I realize that the most important thing that I ever got out of this was a community of people that have actually supported me doing something I enjoy. That's
a completely different thing.
Yeah. Or just the people that I've met over the years, like going to the conventions and just seeing my friends. Like, that's something I would not have without this. It was all worth it. But it's just like getting into it from the get-go and under that like kind of preconception is just like, man, you're just setting yourself up for like a horrible time, just like selling half your life to trying to make this stuff if it's actually going to be of any quality, and for what? Because at a certain point, it's like, if there's no passion there, then like the people are there to see your content, but they're not really there to see or support you.
Yeah, because I mean, we especially nowadays, like, I mean, even just mentioning the 20 million videos per day thing, that on YouTube, but then there's TikTok, where it's like probably the same figure, maybe even more, but now you're dealing with 7 seconds to 20-second videos, and people, if you don't like you in 3 seconds, you're dead, you're gone. So that's why, like, I wanted to try and hit those points in my talk specifically, because it wasn't about, even though it's funny to be like, hey everyone, I'm a content creator, fuck content, but like, it was more to do with the whole, it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. The important thing is that if you are doing something that involves being creative and you want to break free from the typical societal norm, system, work structure and everything, as long as you're doing what you want, it doesn't matter what you call it, and it doesn't matter how often it gets done. The important thing is that you do what you want, because then that means you can naturally get better at it, find your feet, and you won't feel like you've wasted your time, and hopefully things happen for you. But if they don't, you haven't wasted your time. And if it just so happens that what you want to do is a content creator, and you're like, oh no, I don't care about the word content creator, so I'm just going to say I want to be a content creator. Cool. It's about what you want to do. And that will lead to, healthier creations as well. Healthier life, healthier relationship with the thing that you are hoping to achieve, and healthier things that you're making at the end of the day. Even if they're rough to begin with, everyone's first videos, everyone's first songs, they're all shit. That's just normal. But the important thing is that they don't begin shit and then get incrementally better. Just from virtue of you doing it, and not because you're actually wanting to improve certain aspects because you're going at it the wrong way. I suppose the way I would put it, like you were just saying, oh yeah, I want to be a content creator and I want to do this on YouTube because it looks cool or it sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I agree. It's immediate failure, because the way I hear that is, I've never played Dark Souls before in my life, but the tagline says prepare to die. Nah, I'm gonna play Dark Souls for the first time and I am not gonna die.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't even like difficult video games, and I don't like medieval settings, and I don't like RPG elements, I don't like action games, but, you know, everyone says prepare to die on Dark Souls, and I'm just gonna play it, and I am not gonna die, and that's my, and I'm gonna keep going. It's like, it's the same thing, and that's the same reason why if somebody said to me, oh, like, how do you feel about speed running? Because I got a friend of mine, I'm jumping now. I've got a friend of mine, Lumi Laura, her name is, and she's I want to say current, but possibly former. I'm more comfortably saying former world record holder for Spyro 1 speed running.
Okay.
And she is. I've been to her place and seen her do her. It's fucking crazy. And like, people were asking, as they would, like, does that interest you at all? About getting into Crash and like trying it with? And the honest answer is 100% no. It looks miserable to me. This is the kind of thing that would ruin why I like video games, why I play video games, why I enjoy the culture of it. And I would be doing it for the sake of doing it. And then someone else would jump in and say, oh, but it would make a fun video and you could talk about the struggle and everything. It's like, but I don't want to. So the video won't be any good. And if the video's no good, why does anybody want it? Same when people ask me, when are you gonna do the muscly world of wrestling games? Bitch, I don't fucking know a thing about wrestling. The video will suck. I could come up with every possible joke and try and manifest something, a mutation of an idea, because you really like the idea of me talking about wrestling games. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know one single thing about wrestling. So, and it will be obvious. It doesn't matter even if I spent a year on that video. It will be obvious and it won't be any good. You wouldn't ask a documentarian who didn't know anything about wrestling to do a video about the history of wrestling. Then if you want me to talk about, you know, wrestling video games, and this again goes back to what I was saying, it's about liking the things that just so happen to be video games rather than it just being video games in general, because that's the truth is that I don't think any of us love video games as a general thing, full stop, because that means you have to love Call of Duty, you have to love wrestling games, you have to love FIFA, you have to love platformers, you have to love dungeon crawlers. It's like, well, no, you like the games that you like the culture. But that doesn't mean automatically that you can enjoy everything or make something useful or unique or good or funny or whatever out of that idea, you know? Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm not insulted when people ask me these questions at all. I'm just expressing.
Oh,
that
sure,
it's like,
sure.
This is why, you know, I kind of stopped doing fan requests a long time ago, because I kind of realized some of my worst videos from back in the day were fan requested. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, it's because they wanted to see it, and I understand that, and I obviously appreciate that. But ultimately, they got insulted, whether they realized it or not, with a half-assed video about something I knew fucking nothing about.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I feel like that's the sort of thing that could work for some people, where it's just like, I know some call me Johnny, like he'll do like the donathon. I forget what he calls it, but it's like he'll have fans just kind of like donate games to him, and then he'll just
the donators marathon. Yeah,
which is fun, but it's just kind of another example of just like, hey, that's gonna work for some people, but for other people that's not going to, and that's fine. It's not to say anything detrimental towards one person or the other.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's.
I think with that example as well, like with John specifically, which by the way, I don't know if he's listening to this, but hi John, miss you. I think with him it's because it depends entirely on your angle. That's what I keep coming back to. It's not necessarily the end product for me with all videos between them in the mid 2010s. It's the angle, it's the approach, it's the mentality. And if I did something like a donators marathon, like what John does, my whole goal from the beginning wasn't to review, it was to try and be funny, and video games were just the jumping off point. And so with that being the case, when it started verging more into the review angle, it's like, okay, I can't do a donators marathon because in the way that I try to write jokes and the way I try to naturally bounce off of things, I would need to have some kind of interest, some kind of knowledge, some kind of background in it. Basically, all I'm interested in is making something good. And if my entire attempt was, I'm just going to review what's given to me, that's a completely different approach than I'm going to try and make a funny, entertaining, long-form comedy video about the thing that was given to me. Yeah. Because I can't do that. I'm not, fucking Colin Mockery. I can't do that. It's not whose line is it anyway. I'm not great at that kind of idea. I have to kind of have a little bit of control over that. But again, there you go. Relationship with video games, relationship with other hobbies, video creation. That's the funny thing. I've always wanted to try and do the funny thing above all else. And, again, video games jumping off point. If the review elements are they kind of fall out, or they accidentally kind of come out because that's how the structure of the video is going and it just kind of works like that, then that's a happy accident. But I think it's very telling that the second I stopped trying the pretense behind I have to review the newest things, and I'm going to also review the old things because I'm a reviewer and I'm a journalist, and I did not go to school or get a degree in journalism, but I'm now a professional journalist, so fuck you guys. And once I kind of dropped that and started just focusing on, I like video games, but I also really like trying desperately, gasping onto my last breath, trying and make people laugh in some form or fashion. So once I focus on that more than the entire whole massive global culture of what video games are, everything got better for me, because it's very clear. It comes across in the videos, even though now the 2020 videos are starting to show their age. It comes across so much clearer what I'm about and who I am and what my interests are and what I like and what I'm more passionate about when I'm focusing on that, when I'm making something. If I'm making sure that the passion of trying to do a funny thing is, primary, while the secondary is, I also really love playing video games, so why don't I just kind of use that as a jumping off point rather than it being all about the video game, then everything got better for me, because that was naturally what was coming out better, because that's naturally who I am as a person, and I was just lying to myself for years, and it's very depressing.
Yeah, no, I get that, because it's like, I definitely kind of went through a process of just discovering the content that I actually, see, there it is again. It's hard to get that, it's hard to get the word out
normal.
of the lexicon.
It's normal, it's normal, dude, it's fine, don't worry about it,
But, just kind of what I was working on, finding what I actually found fulfilling to myself and what I actually really enjoyed doing. It's early on I was doing just kind of odds and ends and just kind of little things. I think legitimately one of my first videos was a review of Hide Lied, which is just something that had been done before because I thought I could give it my own funny spin or whatever. And it's a very derivative video that's basically, but kind of growing into it and finding what it was about the process I actually enjoyed and got something out of. I mean, the Digimon World video is probably was my eureka moment, where it's just no, I think it's at this point where it's I don't like just reviewing the games, and I don't like just playing the games. I want to talk about them. I enjoy talking about the games as much as I enjoy playing them. And so like that Digimon World video is like an hour and a half, I think, something close to that. But it was just because I had so much to say, and it was just me being like, if I'm just not pulling any punches and I'm just going as into detail about this weird game that I just find interesting, what's that going to look like? And I guess there's the result.
Yeah, it's weird you say that as well. So I'm going to use one of my... I know this is just kind of goes against what I was saying, but I think this is the germination of the ideas of what I disliked about a lot of my catalog in the mid 2010s. So I did a video about Croc 1, it must have been 2013, 14 time, and that was kind of, maybe there was elements of that before possibly, but a lot of that like, again, I have, war flashbacks to some of the fucking lines in that video, and you come out the other end of that video, whether or not someone finds it entertaining or not, or it's like, oh well, it was so long ago and I'm still trying to find who I am and what I'm about and how I create things and everything. At the end of the day, stuff like that has followed me a long time, because in that video, despite trying to be, dumb, old, stupid, funny, anarchy version of me that I've been refined anarchy, refined surrealism, whatever you want to call it. But those germinating ideas are there, but it's clashing with, oh wait a minute, I've got an audience now, and they actually agree with opinions I have, and so that must mean it's because I'm doing a rating system. Oh, I've got the guns, and I have to structure everything. I have to shoot the game, or I have to save it. So slaughter or salvage. Okay, I have to do that. I have to do that now.
Yeah.
And Croc is a 5 out of 10, and the reason it's a 5 out of 10 is because as I'm playing it and I'm writing the script, if I dare say how much I just love Croc as a game, regardless of the mechanics, regardless of the flaws, if I just go into that, I'm disingenuous, and I'm selling out, and I'm not a real reviewer anymore. So I have to talk about this shit thing in Croc and that shit thing in Croc. I have to. And that has followed me to a point where it's like, people will, even today, are still like, I remember loving Croc as a kid, and I played it again, and you're right from this video, like, you're right about this and right about, it's like, no, I'm not. You can think I'm right, and that's absolutely fine. That's your prerogative, that's your opinion. It was my opinion back then, apparently, but what I'm saying is, my opinion was designed and pushed forward entirely based on, I can't ignore a flaw because I'm journalistically integral. It's important, I'm correct. And it's like, that just fucking painted the whole vibe of a lot of my videos. And look, and it's like, you ask me nowadays, what would I talk about with Croc? I would talk about how I loved the game as a kid, and it's great, and I do replay it, and I replay it more, or I used to anyway when I had more time, but I would replay it more than some of the best games I've ever played in my life, because it's Croc and I love it and I don't give a fuck. And if you think well, oh my god, I can't believe it, did you actually just say that the tank controls are forgivable? It's like, yes I did, fuck you, because I love Croc, and you can't make me not love Croc.
Yeah,
that's where you should be. You should be confident and safe and comfortable in your interest, your likes, and why you like them, and not give a shit. Because if you start giving too much of a shit, then everything gets clouded.
And I think that there's a strength to that too, is just because it kind of seems like we went through a similar pipeline of just being like, if you're in this space, you have to be talking about the shitty games that suck ass. That's just where you fit into the mold. And then it just it gets so much more fulfilling when you get to go on and talk about something that you find legitimately interesting, or just a game that you love, and it's so much more fun. I think it's harder to write an entertaining video about something you really enjoy than it is to something that's just oh, this is garbage, here's all the things that are bad. That's kind of the easy way out, and it's not to talk down about people that, write reviews about bad video games, because that can be fun, and some people do that masterfully.
Of course, that's catharsis. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And there some of my favorite videos. Like I think one of the greatest goddamn videos on the platform is Steak Bentley's video about Metal Gear Solid 4. And a lot of it is just kind of complaining about decisions made for that game, but he approaches it with. Oh God! I have you? I don't know if you are you familiar with that video?
Is it? I want to say, is it? It might have popped up in my recommended. Is it about an hour and a half long, maybe 3 hours, and the thumbnail is Snake at the grave?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Metal Gear Solid 4 was a mistake.
Yes. Okay. So. I've heard that, and again, it's funny because older me, 10 years ago me, I would have I haven't watched the video, but I'm just saying I would have deliberately gone out my way to ignore it, or if I did watch it, I would be fucking first thing making a script response because I love MGS4.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that I love MGS4, but I also love Nutella. Like, if you don't like Nutella, then I can't make you like it. And the reasons you don't like it would be completely different to the reasons I like it. But I've grown so fucking tired of this pretending and this pretense around objectivity for everything. And it's like, well, you know what? Okay, then. So if you're saying that objectivity is a thing in every single piece of critique that can possibly exist, then I'm gonna say that you're objectively annoying. I mean, I don't know what to
Yeah.
I don't know what to. Obviously, objectivity is obviously a thing. Like, sure. Okay, you push up on the D-pad, you move forward. That's objective. But when it starts becoming about, I think it was when I started noticing on YouTube when people were reviewing horror films, and then they were like, oh my god, look at the cliche, the person falls down in the forest, or why did they make that decision? Or if I was there, I would have done that. Well, you know something, if life happens, you start noticing that people are fucking, not even just nuts, but there are people that they will crack under and do weird things. And if you're in a horror situation and the person runs into the cupboard and not jump out the window, I hope you're not in that situation and you can hold yourself accountable to your own objective opinion that it's stupid to go in the cupboard. It's easy to do that. It's easy to just say that. But, sometimes people just do weird shit, and that doesn't forgive bad writing or whatever. But then even then, The Room is one of the worst written, worst directed, worst edited, worst sounding films of all time, and yet it's one of the best fucking films ever made. So the discussion can go either way. It's just about how seriously you take it, really, I think.
Yeah, and especially with stuff like that too, because I do remember there were some pretty heavy responses to that when it first came out, and I think somebody did make a giant response video just being like, Metal Gear Solid 4 is perfect, and it's worth noting that for that particular video, just because I do highly recommend it, as somebody that was not sold on it my first playthrough, that video actually made me appreciate that game more, and I believe it's entirely by design. He has a fascinating way of going in and talking about everything that bothers him about the game, while also going in and uplifting things that he used to hate and has found some form of appreciation for.
It's really interesting because even up until I want to say 2019, but there were videos I was doing and I was still so fucking into this whole kind of, not objective, but again, journalistic integrity. And it's well, if I think this certain way and I can prove why I think this way, then I reserve the right to be a little bit of an asshole about it for the sake of comedy. But looking back, it's I did a video about getting over it with Bennett Foddy, and I trashed it because it was based on this whole, well, it's too short and it's not worth the money and it's not fair, and it's yeah, but the game was fucking designed like that. And it's does that mean I'm gonna play it now for fun or to make a point? No, I didn't enjoy it. But do I think the idea is funny and that it's worth existing, and just knowing that it exists I think is really funny, and I can respect it for that and that alone? Yes. And the same applies weirdly to something like, going Kojima again, Death Stranding. I did a video on Death Stranding, and I think knowing where my head was at one point in time, it's very easy to look at that video and be like, see, he's pointing out why I don't like it because of this and that. Whereas in reality, is what I'm saying because I'm just so wound up in this idea of, but it's just a video game about walking and the story doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, am I so wound up on that? Or is it, I knew when I picked up Death Stranding that it was a Kojima game that was gonna make no fucking sense and that most of it was delivering shit and walking a lot.
Yeah.
I knew that going in. Why am I now complaining about it? People can say, well, I'm wrong about that. I'm talking about my brain and how I approached it. It's like, looking back, why did I do that? Is it because it's Kojima and people know me because I've talked about Metal Gear Solid and Kojima before? Oh, maybe it is. I was doing it for the sake of it. Would I play Death Stranding? Probably not. Would I play the second one? Probably not. Doesn't look like my thing, but does that mean it is objectively bad because of? It's like, no. It might actually just not be for me, and that's fine.
And yeah, because sometimes you really do have to just kind of like fight that pressure of expectation that you think your audience is going to have for not only what you're going to cover, but how you're going to cover it.
Yeah, and the ironic thing is that me preemptively kind of expecting that ended up making everything in my channel very slowly die, because ultimately it wasn't about that. It was about I was making things that I didn't really want to make and making them too quickly, and not really exploring ideas I had wanted to explore for years because I was too scared of losing everything, and just thinking, well, if I've said this about other games from the PS1 and I've said this about other things about this and that and everything else, then that must mean that's the reason. So I'm just going to take that and move it onto Death Stranding and just talk about how walking is boring and like. Okay, all right, okay. Like, I don't know. Do you know something? You were talking about, like, I'm going to call it the easy targets, I guess. Like, you know, the shitty games that suck ass. We all know the ones. And specifically with PS1, what's the big one? It's Bubsy 3D, right? Yeah. And I did a video on Bubsy 3D in 2016, and I think looking back, it's one of my worst videos. And the reason why is because, you know, aside from it, you know, the relic of its time and like a lot of the cameos being like, you know, the screen crackles and then they interrupt the video and we have a conversation through the TV, you know, all that, the classic shit that we can all just laugh at. Yeah, that's fine. You can leave that in its time and everything. The thing that I don't like about it is that it's like, this is a very obviously, clearly, infamously shit game, and it's shit because of, well, look at it. That's all you need to. I don't even need to push forward. You can look at one screenshot and you've got the whole idea. But does that mean because it's Bubsy and because it's PlayStation and because I do angry review that I have to do it and it will do well? Yeah, that's what that means. And the problem is that the whole video is structured around this whole like, well, can you not notice? Do you guys see this? Do you see this? And I can't describe this, and I can't. Yeah, we can see it with our eyes. Why am I over-explaining Bubsy 3D's graphics when you're fucking looking at them?
Yeah.
Why am I over-explaining them? It speaks for itself, and with that, it's gonna sound weird. I've kind of had this, and again, it comes with the whole, what we've said a million times, the whole different relationship, taking a step back, appreciating the medium for what it is and the things that make it unique. But like, I've now come to be like, Bubsy 3D, right? Okay, would any other console have Bubsy 3D on it? Is that actually what makes the PS1 so fucking cool? And it's like, but the game's bad. Yeah, okay. Every console has bad games, and they're bad for different reasons. Can I say Bubsy 3D is boring? No. Can I say it's annoying as fuck and the music's terrible? Yes. Does it look like shit? Yes. Is it hilarious? Yes. Bubsy 3D is great. That's the difference now.
Isn't that the fun part, though? Because we're at this stage, and I'm so glad about it, too, where it's just like, we can talk about games that have all of these, I mean, hey, quote-unquote, objective negatives about them. One of my favorite videos I've ever gotten to make, I don't think this is a bad game, but it's not a game that should be traditionally, like, interesting to people. There was a Japan exclusive game for the PS1 called Kaze no Notam. It's a hot air balloon flight simulator by Artdink, and
wow, okay.
That game rocks, and the soundtrack is amazing, and it looks so dated, but it's so interesting because, like you were saying, I can't see that game existing on anything but the PS1.
There's so many games like that on PS1 specifically, yeah.
And I'm so glad that we're at this point, or even being able to talk about like games that don't have those things to prop them up, but we still find are just like this is fun to talk about, and like maybe that's a quality in and of itself.
For me personally, when it comes to like addressing certain games in certain ways, the difference for me would be, I suppose, that, you know, just using Bubsy 3D as an example, I like back then it would have been, well, it's obviously bad, and but I'm still going to review because I'm a reviewer, and that's what I'm known for, darling. And I'm going to talk about the things that I don't know how. Like, that's the thing. I don't even bring up, was the game rushed? Were the people fucking whipped and working in a dungeon while they were making it? I don't fucking know, and I didn't care because it was all about just getting something done quickly and easy target and, well, let's bash this thing because it's safe and I'm not going to get in trouble for it. And that's another reason I'm not a fan of those videos of mine. But, like, instead of it and me going into excruciating depth about why the game looks ugly or why Bubsy is annoying or whatever, now it would be more about how can I make describing the graphics funny instead of just angry, and instead of like how can I make my anger about how bad the graphics are funny, and how can I describe how bad the graphics are funny. It's more about the graphics are bad. I don't need to explain why. That's the thing. It's making the explanation and the anger funny versus making the actual description of what it is funny. That's the difference, because you can see it, and I'm more interested in just being like, it looks like this, it looks like that, and just kind of leaving it at that, rather than going on and on and on about how excruciating this is and how terrible that is and how many more synonyms for bad can I find on thesaurus.com. Oh, that's a good one. And I'll use that to explain the controls. And it's like Bubsy 3D is the creation of a fucking madman, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It shouldn't have been released. It shouldn't have been released. It shouldn't have come out in the state that it did, but it did, and that's hilarious. And if you can't look at that and find that a little bit funny, then I don't think we would be friends, because I think we're on different wavelengths at that point. If it was nowadays where it's like, Assassin's Creed comes out and it's all buggy and glitchy, and yeah, it's different culture, different time, and obviously consumer rights are important and blah. I'm aware of all of this, but not every single fucking human being needs to be a white knight for consumer rights if they don't want to. Some people, they will just play Call of Duty every single night, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so if they can do that, that means I can find the fact that, Assassin's Creed Origins came out and it was fucking barely play, or like Arkham Knight on Steam came out fucking basically unfinished, and they charged money for it. And like, yeah, it's terrible, but is it the end of the fucking world? No, but I would be, older me would have been describing it as yeah. So yeah, just because it is doesn't mean I need to go on and on and on and on about it. You can try and find the funny. You can, and does it actually? Do I lie in bed and all night thinking about how terrible it was that Arkham Knight didn't work properly on Steam? No, I don't. And so even just kind of throwing it out as like I'm gonna go into excruciating depth about why this is a terrible practice. Yeah, it obviously is, and that's not what I'm here to do. That's why I keep saying to people, if you want me to critique something, review something, I'm not your person for it. And if you think I'm going to take it as seriously as you, or you think I need to look at this petition for this thing and sign this, or I need to have an opinion about this thing or that, it's like, no, I don't. Nobody owes anybody anything. You can buy a PS5 and just play Fortnite on it and nothing else. Who cares? Who actually cares?
Yeah. I guess here's a question for you. I'm not sure if you've ever had this. I've definitely had it, and I've had to do this. Have you ever had to like fight the little demons in your head telling you that you need to go back and fix your old reviews of these just because your opinions or your cadence has changed?
I was about to say already done it, but half yes, half no. So I've already done it to the extent where I've taken certain, like, my most recent video was the PS1 cheats video, and that was three fucking hours or something, maybe just under 3. It's the longest video I think I've done, and that video came about because I'd already done a cheats video back in 2014, I want to say, again, maybe 2015. But I'd already done that, and back then, that video, and again, it's forever compromised, not just because of how it's aged and the production of it and how it looks, how it sounds, blah, 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 but also because that concept for the video, when I was doing it years ago, was like, I've carried this cheat book around with me since I was a child, and there's some funny things in here, and I've got a few of the games in this book that I can, do certain kinds of things with, and it's like, oh, it'd be a nice, easy, quick, relaxing video, treating it as though it's the next, like, oh, what's next on my agenda for work, not because I wanted to create something long-lasting, let's say. And one thing leads to another, and I end up making that video, and that video is like, I thought, when I was making the newer one, the more recent one, I was like, oh yeah, this is based on my old video. It was like 25 minutes from back then. The video's fucking like 13 minutes. And I somehow took that concept and stretched it into 3 fucking hours. And people can have their opinion or dissect why it's like long is bad, and it's just fluff and filler and this and that and whatever. And you've every right to that opinion. I would argue the length doesn't matter. The original video pales in comparison, and I don't mean just for the age of it, but because, again, the intent of it. Yeah. I think if I was allowing myself all those years ago to make as long of a video as I wanted about that cheat book, and actually do the thing that I was probably too scared to do, which was look at as many of those cheats as possible, I probably would have done it. And I'm glad I didn't, because then that would have been that one concept forever, aged in old school me, 2014, 20-year-old, squeaky, awful, pretentious me. But just the entire approach was just having an easy thing to do that didn't require much reviewing, writing, and everything. I could just react to silly things that were happening. And so, with that being said, that's not how the approach with the cheats video went recently. The approach was, I already did a video about this cheat book, and I want to try doing that again. How am I going to do it? And why am I doing it? Is it because I want to? Yes. Oh, I want to do that. But what do I actually want to do with it? Am I just going to talk about the ones that I want? No, I wanted to talk or at least mention every single game in that book. And then I made sure that I owned every single game that's mentioned in that book, so I could get them on camera, or I could record the footage from them, and this and that and everything. And yeah, obviously I wouldn't have been able to do that back then, but even then, with the limitations, I could have done more with that video than I did. I could have talked about more of the cheats or played more of the games that were in the book, but it was about getting something done quickly, whereas this one was like, I was anticipating the cheats video was going to be like 90 minutes. I did not expect it to be like double the length. That was not my intention. So, I guess it's just like, the length is secondary. Is it a decent video? I guess that's the thing. Was it funny? Was it entertaining? And if someone says it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours long, or it's like it's 3 hours but it feels like multiple miniature like sketches and one after the other, and did you like the way I did this thing, or I tried to be creative with how I did this thing? Oh, and I'm going to throw in the cheat disc, and I'm going to throw in the cheat poster, and I'm going to think of other ways to incorporate that. And that's all I care about. It's can I make a definitive video of that kind of thing rather than just an of the flavor, of the moment content version of it? And so, I have. There's a couple of other topics I would do again, but when it comes to like the individual games and everything, no, like I'm leaving that behind a little bit. because I think they just need to kind of there needs to be a clear distinction of like who I am and what I do now and what I used to do, and I can reference them, I can mention them, and I have done in recent videos, but yeah, not everything needs to. Yeah, I don't know. It would be topics more than anything. So I want to go back to nursery rhyme VHSs and DVDs at some point, because that was another one I remember. Even though it was pushed out very quickly, I remember in 2016, 2017, whenever I did those videos, that was just something that I found really, really fun and really funny. I was just compromised. I was rushed, and yeah, that's the thing. It's not even about going back and like the opinions of the game or the approach of talking about the game. It's more about, does the final product represent my definitive thoughts or statement about that particular topic? And with the PS1 cheats video from all those years ago, no.
Yeah.
With the Net Eurose video I did in 2015, I want to say, no, same thing. I want to go back to Net Eurose, and then when I'm talking about whatever Net Eurose games I end up talking about, whatever ends up happening, but it won't be with the intent to, like, change the angle or change the perspective of how I've written about how some of the games are good and some of the games are bad. It will just be more about, like you said, talking about it and trying to be funny about it. And you don't need to know a single thing about what you're looking at or what I'm talking about. The entire important impression is that here's a thing I think is cool, and I'm going to try and be funny about it, and that's it. And that's all I wanted to do from the beginning, and what I've kind of tried to keep doing now. And I lost that in the mid-2010s.
And I've thought about, like, kind of going back and revisiting some things too, but mostly in the sense of, like, I think the ones I'd actually be more prone to actually going back to would be, like, some of the Digimon games where I kind of skipped out on the post-game content. It's more of, like, I want to expand on what I've already talked about before. And where it's like, I'm talking about new stuff, and I'm talking about, like, from a new angle, and hey, now that a little time has passed, maybe I can kind of expand on some thoughts that I had before, without trying to bend over backwards to fix something that people already enjoyed. But more to the point is just, like, I guess what's different there is that that's a video I'm already pretty well satisfied with. But
I think I'm more. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think it's because what I do now, and what I've wanted to do for so many years but was too scared to, because of what I do now, I'm very much more kind of line in the sand with it, in terms of, like, yeah, I'm not a fan of those videos from all those years ago, and I don't like how I expressed opinions on this or that or whatever. Mm-hmm. But do I feel the desperate need to quote-unquote correct that or update it or whatever you want to say? No, because they are a product of their time. They're a product of my life back then, and the honest-to-God truth of the matter is I don't care anywhere near enough to do a revised video talking about how great Croc is. Because I can just stream it, and I can just revel in it, and I can talk about it then, and if people ask me about it, I'll talk about it. But yeah, to feel like to go back in terms of, because in order for that to be the case for me, it would mean I would need to do a review again. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. And so I don't feel the need to. So the older review is going to sit there forever, and it's going to be a little bit of a, okay, I shouldn't have written it the way I did, and I don't really feel this way, but I was thinking about this and thinking about that, and blah, 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 blah. But because it's so different from what I do now, if I was still reviewing, I might have revisited it, and because then I'd be approaching it from the same angle but from a more seasoned perspective, which again, we're talking about Some Call Me Johnny. He has done that with Sonic games how many times? Yeah. But that's not what I want to do, and that's not what I have been doing. So I'm fine with it just existing in a little time bubble. It's fine. And if somebody then says, oh my god, I saw you like on the podcast talking about how you like Croc, or I saw you streaming the Croc remaster, and I thought you hated it. And it's like, yeah, it was 2013, 2014. It was over 10 years ago, man. Let go. Yeah. Like, let go. It's not about, like, oh, they're shocked that because it's not about, oh, they didn't realize. It's the fact that it's almost like the fact that it doesn't even occur to them that a decade has passed is the thing I find interesting. so even then, it's like I could do another Croc video in a review format, in an old school Caddicarus format, and people will still probably want to see it, and they still think I hate Croc, and it's like, okay, I've wasted my time. I did something I didn't want to do, and I've wasted my time, and ultimately, I'm not going to. Yeah, again, I'm not going to go out of my way to defend the honor of a Yoshi ripoff. It's like, what's the point? Yeah, what's the point?
Especially since, like, you could easily fall into that sort of, like, remake fallacy where it's just like, oh, like, hey, your opinions and tastes have changed, like, from then till now, but, like, you don't stop existing now. Things might change again in the future, and what happens if your opinions continue to develop? Like, sometimes you just kind of have to leave it be.
Yeah, another one for me is, I did a video, and again, guessing 2015, I want to say, with this one. It was, I think it was the good old days of top 10s. It was a top 10 video, Ooh. Top 10 games that I don't like, but everyone else does.
Yeah.
That was, because that was a sequel video to a video I did like a year or two prior that was the opposite, which was games I like, but no one else does. So I just like, oh, what do I not like, but everyone else does? And towards the top was Sonic. And like just in general, and again, it's like everything we've talked about. As you know, life happens. You grow older, and blah 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 blah. I'm not going to say for a second I'm, I love Sonic or anything, but it's like I will play Sonic games, and I think the style is cool. I think that the whole look of Sonic, the sound of Sonic, the look of Sonic's cool. I've got multiple. I can't hate Sonic that much when I put dozens of hours into Sonic Heroes as a kid, and nearly 100 hours into the first Sonic Riders when I was like an early teen.
Oh hell yeah!
I love Sonic Riders, and like that's one of the ones that no one likes. It's like, yeah, no, OG Sonic Riders. I'm good at that shit, and. So there had to be something about it that I was into. So was this a contrarian video, or is it because at that moment I wasn't playing Sonic, or I just I didn't like Sonic at that moment? And it's like, if that is the case, that's fine. But then in the video, I'm like going into massive detail about why I don't like, and why this and why that, and it's not the audience's fault, but that stuff sticks. And then when people find out that I like own a Sonic-related merch or something, or they see something on my dashboard, because I've got a couple of the die-cast Sonic racing, like Hot Wheels kinds of things they did like a year or so ago. I've got like 5 of them, and they're just on one of my car dashboards because I think they look cool. And people, like, they'll catch that in a video or something, and then they'll be like, wait a second, were you lying the whole time? Or, wait, are you just saying that because Sega are paying you now? And it's like, okay, first of all, that's ridiculous. Second of all, it was a decade ago, please. Yeah. I mean, God.
Well, don't you know?
Yeah.
Don't you know, Caddy? People on the internet live in a time bubble. They're
yes.
Yeah.
But that's, again, the context of upload date and time vanishes, which is again goes back to what we were saying. It's the whole, you can get 3 videos done a week in 2015, but they exist as singular videos now, and no one gives a fuck how long it took. And in fairness, I didn't give a fuck how long it took for Bubsy 3D to be made. So what can I say? It makes me slightly hypocritical. Yeah, and it's been an interesting learning experience. Yeah.
Hey, honestly, dude, I know that we initially started off and we were mostly just going to talk about PlayStation, but I think that this ended up just being like a rich discussion in and of itself, just like.
We can still do that if you want. Look, do you know something? And just kind of going off on one for a sec. The other video that I'm not happy with, not proud of whatsoever, would burn it, but other people like it. LSD Dream Emulator, because the entire angle, much like how I took with Croc and how I took with Death Stranding and all the other things, it was like, I'm a reviewer now. So does it matter that this is one of the most ambitious, one-of-a-kind, out there, experimental, unique, PlayStation exclusive, something that could only exist in that period of time on that system, from the mind of that guy, the little Japanese guy with his dream diary that he wanted to make a video game all about. All of that in order to fuel the idea of maybe making some jokes about how silly the whole thing is. No, I review it and I critique it based on it being, it makes no sense and therefore it's shit. Like, no, like, oh, like, I don't know. I've never wanted to kick my own self in the head so much than with that video. So the whole angle of that video, whether or not people enjoyed it, or they thought some of the gags were funny, or some of the critiques were told in a funny way, or the rage was funny, the whole angle of that video is LSD makes no sense, and therefore it's bad. And like, you can't distill any clearer how where my head was at and why I'm not okay with that kind of approach. And because it looks like I'm taking it way too seriously, and I was taking it way too seriously, because now, again, much like with Bubsy 3D, LSD's fucking great. I don't get it, and it's like, I don't know, I don't understand it. I don't understand why I like the combination of ketchup and mustard. I have no idea. I can't quantify it, but it's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's the culture aspect. It's not the be all. Video games are not the be all end all. The industry is not the be all end all. It's things that just so happen to be games, and that I'm into, and it's very. It's just interesting. I was in London recently, and we were doing something else while we were there, but there was a Nintendo pop-up shop. The shopping centre's Westfield, which is the biggest shopping centre in Europe, which I found out while I was there, which is crazy, because it's just in the middle of a housing estate in London. It's fucking mental. But they had a little pop-up shop, and I know that they're limited, the pop-up shops, and I know that, and but we thought, okay, well, while we're in London, we'll kind of take a taxi over and we'll see what's going on and see if we can get in. And there was a line, obviously. The line, though, we asked the security, and the guy said it was like just over an hour. He said maybe an hour 10, hour 15. And I got a selfie of myself outside the building, and was like, the security told us it was over an hour to wait. Fuck that, lol. And I didn't go in because I don't want to go in. I consider that a waste of my time. I do not care enough. And I didn't feel like I needed to explain why that was, but because of the things I've said and done in the past, and the impression I've left with people, there is that part of me, even though there's no need explaining, because you can just go on forever trying to explain your angle on the internet and no one's going to see it anyway. So I just let my shit speak for itself. But it's like, the way I was saying it was, I do not want to wait an hour and 15 minutes for the opportunity to go into a tiny L-shaped room that doesn't have any experiences in it, nothing massive and mind-blowing, and not much theming, and not much else really to see or do. And it's like, it's a small L-shaped room, and at the very end is a checkout, because all it exists to do is you are queuing to buy shit, and most of it is you can get it online anyway. Yes, there's a couple of things that you can only get. I'm not queuing an hour and 15 minutes for that. And that does not mean I hate Nintendo. It doesn't mean I hate Mario. It means it could be anything. It could be a fucking vinyl record store. I'm not waiting. I'm not, because I think that's a bit ridiculous, and that's just my opinion. Everyone else that was waiting, they clearly get way more joy out of doing that than I do. Yeah. And that's fine. Not everybody in that fucking shopping center isn't a video gamer and was waiting in that line. Like, it's a minority of people, and yet I thought that spoke for itself. But what ends up happening actually is that I go on like Twitter this morning, and like when someone replies to something that you've posted and then someone else replies to them, you get part of the thread. So then if they get into a conversation, because you were the top tag, you see the whole thread, right? And I go into my notifications, and I see that there's this flame war going on. And the flame war began over somebody saying, well, you would have waited if it was a PlayStation shop, wouldn't you? Because you're more loyal to PlayStation. And it's like, I'm not going to explain myself. I don't need to. That's fine. But like, dude, if it was PlayStation, I would still not give a shit, because it's not about brand loyalty. It's not about, again, be-all, end-all video games. Why? I don't want to go and see the new Mario movie, so I'm not going to go and see it. I don't have to go and see it because it's Nintendo. I don't have to go in that shop because it's PlayStation. You can enjoy the culture, the aspects, the individual elements, but you don't need... and it's like... I don't know. Yeah, if it was I'm not waiting to go into a shop. But then there are other people where it wasn't even about the PlayStation versus Nintendo thing, which is like, I hate all companies. Companies hate you. Why defend them? Why defend them? They exist to sap money from you. That's all they care about. The people that create the things for the company matter. The company don't fucking matter. So, that I thought spoke for itself. I've said that multiple times in the past on streams and things. But then there's that angle. But then there's the other angle, which was, wait, I've waited longer than that to go into this thing in the States. That's nothing. Why couldn't you wait for that? Or, oh, wait, so you're saying that you've never waited any longer than an hour in a queue for something? And it's like, no, I've waited 2 hours plus to get onto a roller coaster. Difference is, it's a fucking roller coaster. And also, even if you don't like roller coasters, I prefer waiting for a roller coaster than waiting for a chance to go into a place to spend money. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So that's the first thing. But secondly, I mean, yeah, if you like the idea of queuing for an hour plus to go into a shop that's a small L-shaped room, then great. But why are you surprised that I'm not? And is the reason that you're surprised because you think be-all, end-all is me and video games? And so that's the surprise? Or is, you know what, because it's like people, I can't imagine what else it would be. It's like, well, it's either because I'm more PlayStation than Nintendo, which I'm fucking not, or it's because, like, I like video games, so therefore I must. Like, I like video games, so therefore, Mario Galaxy movie, I am going to see that. No, I'm not.
Yeah, and I get, like, especially just, like, people taking things a certain way. I actually woke up this morning with a couple of people mildly irritated with me on Twitter, just because, like,
you don't say.
Well, last night I commented on, like, Nintendo's Twitter account posted something about that motorcycle out in the empty-ass desert in Metroid Prime 4. And I said something.
Wait, what? I'm gonna have to look this up. What? Like, okay, Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, the
motorbike. Okay.
And I said something.
So it's in the game.
Yeah. And I said something to
this is how out of the loop I am. This is all fucking news to me, yeah. And I see that and I'm smiling. It doesn't mean I think it's good or bad, but like I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of fucking cool. But I'm sure a lot of other people are a bit more terminally into it than I am. So yeah. Anyway, so you were saying
because my initial reaction was just like, oh, hey, Samus and motorcycles are both cool things. And then it's just like after I mulled it over, I was just like, I don't really like this, or at least I don't like the fact that Metroid game just has this giant, like, empty desert area. But you know me, I'm very big on Metroid, and I've got big opinions about that. But, like, I said something to the effect of, like, I can't fathom, like, what in the world this is doing in a Metroid game. And I half meant the motorcycle, but I mostly meant just the giant empty space. Because that to me, that's just very antithetical to Metroid. And
interesting.
I've got some people kind of upset with me that I'm not just blindly loving everything that we're seeing about the game. And I've got some people that are assuming that I think the entire game looks like trash just because I don't like this one element. And I've tried to explain to a couple of people, and then after a while I'm just like, just don't. It's not worth it. Like, there's just going to be more people that come in and see the initial tweet, and they're going to make up their mind about what you meant, and it's whatever. Trust me, there's a myriad of reasons as to why I kind of jumped off of the Sonic podcast that Nick and I were on for a while there. It just, like, it gets so exhausting to, like, wrap your entire life around, like, a property, and just, like, I know that I'm here on video games and stuff all the time, but it's like, I've got a lot of interests outside of that, and I would rather that be, like, one of the many things that I'm into, and something that I can kind of continue to find like interesting new things to enjoy. But mostly, especially like just things to connect with friends with, and like honestly, I adored Bloodborne. I'm glad I finally got a chance to actually play that damn game. Finally gave it the time that I needed to put into it to really get a lot out of it. But the most joy that I got out of it was not just like actually playing through it and beating the bosses and getting good at the game. It was just like, oh man, I've got friends that love this game. Let me text Booker and Caddy and tell them just like, hey, I finally got into this thing that we're both interested in, and let's actually share some experience here. Like, I feel like that's where like most of the joy really comes from nowadays.
Well, I think that the joy and the well, not even just joy, but the joy and the disappointment and the excitement, and it for me, it's the sum of all the parts and not just the one element. I'm looking at, like, I know this is a silly thing to use as an example, but like you've mentioned the Metroid Prime 4 motorbike shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm looking at this now, I found a Reddit thread, and it's like, so someone here has put, and the thing is, so I've read the thing, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I've been around online long enough now to be like, this could be a joke. I don't know. Maybe they're hamming up the whole kind of, the comic book guy Simpsons thing. Maybe they're doing that. I don't know.
Sure.
But this is an account, and the title of their thing is, I think the bike will go down as the thing that ruined the possibility of any Metroid games after Prime 4.
Oh my God.
That's the thing, right? And they go into a little bit of a thing, and it could be real, maybe it's not, I don't know. And you are entitled to your opinion, that is totally fine. But then there's the first fucking comment, and I love this, thinking that you won't like the motorcycle and that it will be a blemish on the game is completely fair. Different strokes for different folks. Thinking it will kill the franchise, on the other hand, especially after Other M, is the most ridiculously pessimistic thing I've heard all month. Like, yes! And it's so, like, at what point do you actually fucking like what you're doing anymore? Why are you into this? Why, like...
Yeah.
And it's not... And there's a difference between being into it and forgiving everything versus, like... What? Yeah, that is a good point. You can feel as though that is going to be a terrible aspect of the game, even, and that's absolutely fine. But to be like, Other M happened, the story of Other M happened, and that was from the creator. The creator of Metroid wrote that, right?
Co-creator, yeah.
Co-creator, but so that's not even outside studio interference or anything. He oversaw the fucking English translation and everything, right?
That was a 100% clear cut, unbastardized vision.
So there you go, and that, I haven't played it, haven't seen it, can't possibly comment, but I know the reputation it has. And then it's like, Metroid still happened, and Prime 4 has been whispered about and talked about and probably in development for longer than a lot of people have been alive. I don't know, it's like, why jump immediately to this is the death of the whole franchise when it's like, but it's coming out. The franchise is in, it's in your reach. It's nearly there. Why are you immediately just letting it fucking fall through your fingers?
Isn't that also just kind of underselling the qualities of the franchise if it can all be dismantled by a bike?
Do you know something, dude? I think the biggest thing that's gonna get people to not fucking pick up Metroid again are the controls of Super. And I really like Super. Super's great. Super's great, and it's very, very ahead of its time, very innovative. But fuck me, if you want somebody like when people say it's one of the, probably one of the best Super Nintendo games. It's an iconic thing. I get it. But if you want people to get into Metroid, you do not tell them to go, controls in that, and the fucking vertical jump that has no horizontal distance, and you don't start there. You start with like Zero Mission or something.
I was gonna say Zero Mission or Fusion.
Absolutely, and it's like, but people will swear by that, and that's totally fine. But then it's like, if you can get your head around the controls of Super, and then the bike is the death of everything. Which, to be perfect, based on what I've played with Prime, I figured it is quite a lot about. I mean, you've obviously got your thoughts about it, but I figured that's a natural extension Like, because it's all about like desolate planets and harsh environments and stuff. A desert is a big, harsh environment and all that shit. I don't know. Like, what's your take?
My take is largely it's that it's mostly the emptiness of that environment, and I think a part of, especially if we're talking
so it's video then.
Yeah, it's like so for me, like something I absolutely love about the Prime games, especially Prime 1, there's a tightness to the way that everything just kind of flows together. Each room just kind of interlocks into the next in cool ways, and even as you're moving between different biomes, it all just kind of like flows in a natural way, and it kind of evolves that Super Metroid mentality, where it just feels like these lovingly crafted screens that just kind of go from one to the next. And I feel like the best defense I've seen for the motorbike and for that desert so far are, one, we've seen like 19 recycled seconds of footage of what that's going to be like, and we haven't gotten our hands on the full game, so we don't really know the scope of what all's going to be there. I think that's a
teaser.
fair, yeah, I think that's a fair argument. Maybe there will be much more interesting things in there than what we're thinking. And the next best defense I've seen is well, maybe it just won't be there much. Maybe it's just an interconnecting hub between the major areas, and my response to that is, cool, then why is it there?
That's fair. And I mean, even if that was your question, then I guess my answer would be, like, maybe the planet that it features on, the theme of it will be about large sprawling areas, or maybe, you know, like shit coming up from the sands. It might be boss fodder. It might be, or maybe, I don't know, maybe the bike is a woman. Who fucking knows? It's Metroid. It could be anything. And, you know, I suppose at that point I would probably say, like, why doesn't Samus then have, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example out now. Like, if the morph ball exists to get from area to area, when all the morph ball really does is make you smaller, but you're still doing the same thing, but now you can't shoot. You're still moving and you're still jumping. It's the same as the most of the game. You're platforming, but you're just smaller and you can only use bombs now. Why is that there? You know, even though, again, not saying the morph ball's bad. I'm just saying that's how when you say that's how I view that, because it's almost like, you know, as cool as it is, it's the same thing. She could just shrink in size, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're good, brother. You're good. I'm just like, it's an initial reaction to something that I just haven't been sold on yet, and people are acting like I'm already condemning the fucking game to the Shadow Realm or something. I'm still looking forward to it. And hey, who knows? Maybe they'll win me over on the bike. I think another one of my misgivings, though, is also just that, like, motorcycles, especially in open world games, are starting to feel a little played out to me. We did it in Zelda. We did it in fucking Pokemon. I don't feel anything when I see an Akira slide anymore. Like, we gotta calm the hell down with this. I think I said something on Blues. Go ahead.
I think, as someone that's not into Metroid as much as that person clearly is, and has only played Prime 1, and even then, years ago on the GameCube, and only 4 hours of the remake before shit happened in my life and I had to stop. But based on that experience alone, I know, not being hardcore part of the community or anything, I know that Prime 4 has had so much fucking build-up, so much discussion, so much hype. Not even hype in the sense of excitement, but just like when it was announced, everybody, like how Dread was announced, and it was more just a kind of shock. It's not even hype. It's like, oh my, it's finally fucking happening. Oh my god. I don't think anyone could do anything to make the game not sell well enough where Nintendo, like, oh, Metroid's not a good seller. Prime 4 is gonna sell a lot. And I think you would actively need to make the game like fucking nuts and bolts. You would need to make it a different genre. If you think genuinely the bike is gonna destroy the future of Metroid and the bike features in a game as built up as fucking Prime 4, it's like, I don't think Prime Federation Force sold very well. I don't think it did, and it didn't critically do very well. And guess what? It wasn't Prime 4 Federation Force. It was just a Metroid game.
Yeah.
So it's like, if the bike was in Federation Force, that would just be an added reason for people to go, oh, the game's terrible and whatever else. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If any game is going to experiment and get away with it, it's something like Prime 4, no question.
And I even said it because I quote tweeted my initial like little complaint. And I said something where I was just like, I don't want my only public impressions to just be negatives. And I was posting a bunch of screenshots, and I said, this game still looks fantastic. Like, I'm still excited for this, and I'm hoping to love it. But this was one opinion about one mechanic, and everybody's acting like I'm trying to burn Retro to the ground.
Yeah, because at that point, like, even though in your head, and I know you, and I know where you're coming from,
yeah,
as far as the second you step your foot in that swamp, that's it. You've got fucking like dysentery. You're like straight away. You've got a water-based disease because you put your toe in it. That's the problem. Is that you can't ever. And you know, there's an argument to be made with me when it's like, well, so the reason you haven't talked about anything is because you can't handle people being unreasonable when it's only going to be a minority. It's not about not handling it. It's about I can't be fucking bothered with it. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Like, if the argument is you have to say something about something despite what everyone else is saying, but then that's the reason why you have to say something and not because you actually want to say something in the first place, then that's just fucking stupid. Like, I don't want to say something about it because I don't have to. And the bonus is I don't have to deal with the unreasonable people because I can't be bothered. So why would I force myself to say something I don't want to say and also have unreasonable people? If I wanted to say something and the unreasonable people were there, I'd be like, fuck them. But I wanted to say the thing. If I didn't want to say the thing and then the unreasonable people pop up, I'm just going to be resentful and bitter and hate everything and quit the internet forever. So it's like, why am I, everything, why are you doing it, I suppose, yeah.
But yeah, I guess it just kind of goes to show it's just that like we kind of have to pick and choose like what avenues of this space we're actually just even trying to like have these discussions, because it just gets
yeah, I've never ever, not even when I was younger, I have never been part of a fan forum or a Reddit. I don't even have a fucking Reddit account. I've never browsed it.
Yeah.
I've never been a 4chan person. I've never been a Reddit person. I'm not somebody that partakes in that, and I can't deal with the idea, because I would feel like a fish out of water if I joined a Crash Bandicoot fan forum. Even though I would be very much known as someone that talks about Crash a lot and has done videos with upwards, I think one of them's coming up to maybe 10 million fucking views. It's insane.
Oh.
There are people that are gonna know me just for Crash, and that's totally fine, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But it's like, if I joined a fan forum, I wouldn't be able to compete with the in-depth knowledge and the intricacies of any of the same people that have got if you've got the brain pattern to already be like, I want to join a fan forum, you've already got a certain relationship with the thing that you're joining the forum in, because you wanted to join the fan forum. And there's nothing for me in my life that I've ever felt the need to do that with, ever. And especially with something like Crash, even though on face value it would look like I'm one of the biggest. Yeah, you can say that, but I don't really feel that. I just really, really, really love Crash, and I don't think I would be able to survive in a fan forum because I know I would just piss everyone off, and I'd be seen as a hypocrite, and I'd be seen as a fake fan. And it's like, well, why would I do that to myself, and why would I piss everybody else off for the sake of pissing them off when they clearly love Crash way more than I do, and they can all nerd out about it and argue about it to their heart's content without me muddying the waters and making things complicated because they're going to try and get me in as some sort of authority it's like, I'm not an authority. I just like PlayStation, and I just like Crash, and I've done videos on Crash, and I love Crash, and he was the first game I played. But if you're going to tell me that there is a bike in Crash 3, I'm not going to think it's the death of Crash Bandicoot. much like how in r/Metroid, some of those people, and it's like, I don't take any joy or pleasure in joining in those kinds of discussions because I don't feel as strongly as they do. That's the thing. I am not as engaged, I am not as into it as those people, and I don't feel like I have to be in there just because, or I have to have an opinion just because I know that I am nowhere near as into it as they are, and again, I'm just muddying the waters. And to some people, that would even be seen as fucking, fan tourism or something. And then it would be like, oh, so you've just ridden off of Crash and you've done successful videos off of it, but you actually don't know about this one particular date of this particular month of this particular year when this particular person said they wanted to do this in Crash 2, but then they didn't because this particular person said something. It's like, yeah, no. And I don't need to be a part of that, and I don't want to be a part of that because I know where my limits are, and my limits are, like I've already described, it's appreciation, enjoyment, and reveling in that, and reveling in the culture of it, but just not basing the majorative knowledge on it and then ruining it for everybody else by not knowing as much as they do.
Right,
you know?
Yeah. And that's like, I guess that's worth putting it into as well, as just like, with a lot of this stuff, it's not even so much people being like bigger or more intense fans. It's just that like people enjoy and get into this stuff in very different ways. And it's kind of like actually what you were talking about earlier is just like, man, there are people that speedrun games, and it is a sight to behold. I love
I love it.
Yeah, I love watching GDQ when it rolls around because it's just like the way people do this stuff, and like a little tradition I've got for myself now, because I play Jak and Daxter 1 like at least once a year. I've already played it twice this year, but
oh, cool.
Like last year I established, I'm just gonna start streaming this around Thanksgiving every year. And somebody was asking me, like, hey, do you think you want to learn how to, like, speedrun this? And I was kind of entertaining the idea, and I think recently I came to the impression that I'm just like, no, I just really like playing this game as is. Like, I don't need to keep coming up with, like, new excuses for it and everything, and I don't know if I would find trying to learn how to speedrun this, at least in the same way that other people do, fulfilling. I
was gonna say, dude, are they talking about Jak and Daxter 1 specifically?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Do you know anything about, like, the strats of speedrunning that?
I was looking into a little bit of it. I saw some people doing, like, a no-orb run, and there's a part of me that still's kind of curious about that, but I'm also just like, I think I'm also just kind of fine with getting my fulfillment out of the game as it is, but it's...
I mean, the thing is as well, I mean, okay, first of all, the funny thing about Jak and Daxter, like, there's a great channel, I want to say it's the Rixer, and he does speedrunning documentaries. Highly recommend them.
Okay.
He's done it. I honestly, I don't know if he specializes in PlayStation or if it's just his thing, but he's done ones about, like, he talks about people that figured out all the biggest breaks in Spyro and, all that kind of stuff. Really fascinating stuff. One of the videos he did was about Jak and Daxter 1 and how, there was this ongoing thing in the early 2000s, and it's like people's camera footage. They've got like VHS cameras filming their screens, and like, I think I found this thing, and I can't quite figure it out. And there's forums of people trying to work it out. And by the way, and these are the nice forums where the forums are productive and they're trying to figure something out or work something, not just bitch and complain. Different thing. But yeah, no, there's strats in Jak 1 where it's like someone figured out. There's that lava cave that you have to get the bike, yeah?
Yes.
Like the hover bike?
Like the lava tube?
It's to get you from... so it's to get you from the first world to the second world, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, yeah. The first one then, the Fire Canyon, I think it's called.
Yes, so some people started realizing, and this is during the whole kind of no orb run kind of thing, they were like, can we skip this without needing to use the bike? And it took years for people to figure out the pixels you need to jump on in that cave to not get... Because it's a one-hit kill. And people can do it now instantly. But, like... I want to say whoever recommended that you did it for Jak 1 is probably trolling you, because that looks horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
There's like a part of me, especially as like a big Metroid fan, where it's just like a little bit of speed running's kind of already in my blood. But I don't know. I think
as well, like you just said about like you get fulfillment as it is. The funny thing is that when you're saying as it is was developer intent. That's how it should be, you know. So like. Like it's really a purely optional thing. Purely optional, yeah.
And I think as is, through developer intent, it's just a fun damn game.
Yeah, it is. Can totally agree.
Yeah. And that was definitely one of those games that was just like, because I think that was among the first games that I really got as a kid. I know we were talking PS1. I started with a PS2, but we just had a bunch of PS1 games when I was a kid.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And Jak and Daxter was one of the few like PS2 games that we had that I just played religiously. I loved that damn thing. But nah, I just like that.
It's I don't know. Like I've spoken to many US friends and all those kinds of people at that side of the world about PlayStation, and one thing that struck me especially when I was starting out, when I was like fucking 17 years old, lots of the comments I would get were for people that were like, oh my god, I thought I was one of the only people that grew up with PlayStation. And I was like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Because when I was growing up, everyone had one.
Yeah.
And it got me curious, and I don't have the exact reasons, and I can't give you the scientifics and the I'm not a historian with this kind of stuff, but what I came to discover really very loosely is that video games in the 80s and 90s, that meant, well, mid 80s into the mid 90s, in the States, video games meant Nintendo, right? I think that's pretty inarguable. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, that was just what video games were. It was just, oh, you've got to the Nintendo. It was video games were just, the colloquial. It was like Nintendo were the juggernauts. And I'm not saying they weren't big in the UK, but the audience, Nintendo were not video games. Nintendo were toys. And I want to try and, I'm thinking about how that may or may not have happened. From what I gather, it's because, there's a different culture in the UK anyway. It's slightly kind of more downtrodden, pessimistic. The weather, the culture's different. It wasn't anywhere near as loud or extreme as the US was in that period of time. And you guys got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but we had the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because Ninja was too violent. We were kind of that country, and lots of industry, lots of factories, coal mining and steel work and all that kind of stuff in the 70s and part of the 80s. And then 90s hit, and video games were always a thing. You could get a Nintendo and everything. Before PlayStation, the biggest thing was Sega Mega Drive, Genesis. And I think it was because it had that maturer edge to it. By default, because it wasn't Nintendo, which was seen as a little bit more childish. And then you get the mid-90s, when you have this perfect storm of CD technology, not just for the music of the time and the rave scene that was getting really big, and the ecstasy rave scene, and specifically just Prodigy and Chemical Brothers and all that shit. That all kind of exploded at the same time as PlayStation coming out in the UK, which also had a CD player, and also meant that the CD could have games on it that no one thought possible before, including more mainstream, interesting things to people in the UK, like football, which is how I guess American football is in the States. That is the be-all, end-all in the UK for sports people over here. And when all of that perfect storm shit hit, it was almost like it was. I think it was just the right cultural moment for it to explode, because I didn't know a single person, if they were into video games, that didn't have a PlayStation. No one didn't. It was because it was just the everything machine, and also it could play your Future Sound of London CDs if you had them, and then it's you have Wipeout 2097, which the soundtrack alone was made into a soundtrack on CD because of just the music that was huge at the time. And Yeah, it's you look at some of the early PS1 promo shit, like on Demo 1, and that aesthetic and that music and the intensity and the hardcore element of it, that was just UK all over. And I think that's why it kind of became the thing rather than Nintendo. But you know, people still had Nintendo 64 and people still had Super Nintendo. It still was a thing. More people had Game Boys, definitely. But yeah, it seems to be that's what happened. So I don't know what, in your view, what PlayStation meant to the general culture in the States at that time. What do you think?
It was definitely like, because my sister and I did not get a whole lot in the way of like game consoles from the forefront. I think the first thing that we got was Game Boy Colors, and which at the time was, of course, just Pokemon machines. And then, but we had friends that kept talking up the PS2. Now, the first console I got to really play on was my cousin's Dreamcast, and so, well, you know, the obsession kind of started there. But the friends around, like, just where we were at, they were all talking up the PS2. It was the cool new machine that had just come out, and there were all these cool things for it. It just sounded like this magical little experience, and so we got that for Christmas one year when we were kids, and got a handful of games for it. A lot of what we had was PS1, but you know, we didn't care. We had video games to play. Like, this is all new and fresh to us. So it felt, I think, a lot of the time, those platforms and everything are going to mean to you what you got to play on them, what you got to see on them. So between me as a kid just getting to play Jak and Daxter, getting to see Sly Cooper, Crash Team Racing was my first Crash game, and
good place to start.
Yeah. I played through that a million times, and then I played the Spyro 2 demo that was on it a million times. And so platformers, that kind of exploration atmosphere, that sort of thing. Oh man, the Treasure Planet game on the PS2, which is basically just a poor man's Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played the demo of that years ago. Yeah, I always wanted it, never got it.
Yeah, I love that game. I guess that's kind of what it was to us. It was our gateway into playing video games, or into really getting to take a part in that culture. But I can really only speak for our household. I guess for a little bit of context, I didn't have as broad of a window into what everyone around me was into and what they all thought of it. I was homeschooled my entire life, so like I was never in a public school setting.
Okay.
Yeah. First bout of public education was in community college. So.
Oh man.
So it was mostly like friends at church were just kind of like how we socialized. So, but to us, it was just kind of like, oh, we're finally moving on from just playing the Marvel 2 machine in the back of Pizza Hut, or playing Sonic Adventure when we get to see Lynette and play on her Dreamcast. This was ours, and this was like all of these experiences were things that we got to try out. And it was such a well of discovery for me, because it was like the library of games that we had was a bit of a mix. I still remember latching on to some of the weirdest things. Like, one of my favorite games from the PS1's library was Pro Pinball Fantastic Journey.
I've got a couple of Pro Pinballs on my shelf, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
I've been using the soundtrack from Fantastic Journey in my videos for years. I think pretty much from the time I started, that was one of those like influential games where I'm just like, this was video games for me. So PlayStation, and especially like PS1, again, as a kid, I didn't know the difference of like, oh, here's what like we can do with all of these graphics, and like here's all these technological leaps and everything. I didn't care that so many of the games that I had were from an earlier platform. I got to play Spider-Man. I got to play this cool like weird orange rat on a go-kart. So it was just this like weird world. It was getting to step foot into like this strange form of entertainment that like fascinated me for years after the fact.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think, just like the PS1 just in particular, I was getting to a point and then I completely fucking lost it. But like I think where I was coming from was trying to figure out this kind of why were so many people coming to my channel and talking about how they thought they were the only ones, and for the reasons I kind of said. But it almost gave me the impression that because Nintendo was the be all end all for arguably the most of the states, like you think about Nintendo Power and you think about the cartoons, the Mario cartoon and the cereals, and the Nintendo was just fucking the thing. It was just aside from like Game Boys, it was just never something that I ever knew as a kid. Any other, like, I didn't know what a Super Nintendo was. I didn't know that Nintendo probably did home consoles until I first saw Mario 64 at someone else's house, a friend of a friend, and I was really young. But yeah, I think there was just this kind of element of it was seen as a bit of a grittier, edgier, more appropriate thing for the mid-90s UK populace, which, that's the kind of, even though that was the gateway for a lot of people, and with the culture being the way it was, and, again, like I said, ecstasy and all that kind of music and those kinds of flashing lights and intense aesthetics and all that shit, like, that led to experimentation. It also led to more mature games. It led to more mainstream things, and then that's when the sports game, the FIFA shit started. But yeah, it was like Nintendo have always kind of been, as far as I've known from being a kid, it was always this just bubble of, good old reliable, family-friendly, silly little toy video game for children kind of thing. That's how it always kind of felt, and PlayStation just kind of exploded in the UK. It was just, I think it was just a perfect storm. But yeah, like, I don't think it happened in the same way in the States as it did, and it did well in the States, I know it did, but I don't think it happened anywhere near as, like, I suppose when you look at the population difference and the country size difference and the density of everyone together, I think it was like a way more condensed explosion of like percentage of people into PlayStation in the UK compared to the US, and I've always just found that really fascinating. But then that comes across in everything, not just like how we gravitated towards PS1 as a collective, but like also the comedy, like extremely dry, extremely dark. I can't remember who it was that spoke about it. There was two comedians, maybe it was Stephen Fry, I can't remember. Somebody spoke about it years ago, and they were saying like the difference between US comedy and UK comedy isn't anything specific. It's all about the approach, and it's all about how the person has been brought up. And the difference really is that most Americans, as far as I've come to understand, are told when they're in school that one day they could be the president if they work hard enough. Like, it's the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
And again, everything in the 90s especially, very fucking extreme and colourful and loud, and that was just the thing. That's why so many people have those kinds of memories of what the 90s were like, and it's very Americanized, definitely.
Oh, sure.
But the difference is that American kids are kind of brought up like that, and you do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning and all that shit. UK kids are brought up like, you need to work as hard as you can, and if you get an office job, you're fucking lucky, and you're not going to get anything else, so just work up to that and then be happy about it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And that level of like, I think people have argued where that kind of pessimism has come from, and that I think that came a lot from World War II and the Keep Calm, Carry On campaign and all that stuff. It kind of rolled off where it was almost like, we had the Blitz and we had to keep going, so don't amount to anything. if we can go through all of this while bombs are dropping on our house, then you can work, you can do a little bit of building work, and that you'll be happy about it. Don't aspire to anything. You found your place. You're good. Now go be a good little person in the factory. I think that kind of rolled off a little bit, and that's influenced a lot of our it influenced a lot of our comedy and a lot of our sensibilities, a lot of our film output as well, and. Yeah, it's just I'm not going to say it influenced our video game output, but it was definitely much more of a kind of fringe thing in the UK until PlayStation coming out and just blowing everyone's fucking minds. And then before that it was like, Sega was I would arguably maybe Sega was bigger than Nintendo even during the quote unquote console wars, and before that it was Spectrum and Commodore, because it was the game systems and the computer, it was all for really Dungeons and Dragons-y, computer-y, nerdy people. It was never like celebrated or advertised really in the same way Nintendo was in the States, and I just find that really interesting. We've never been very optimistic with that kind of thing, and very like, hey kids, we've never been like that ever. And it's just very interesting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is just like kind of moving into like the 90s era. There was like a sort of attitude for most marketing. I wonder if it was also kind of influenced, as I always kind of saw that the way that video games were marketed in America was heavily influenced off of how toys were marketed and sold, and video games were kind of seen as an extension of that. And with the relevance of like cartoons that were selling like action figures and toys and everything were taken off, like once video games started emulating like those experiences, it was just like, hey, this is just another way to it's an action figure but you play as it, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure if there was any kind of big difference between like how those shows and those pieces of entertainment were distributed through like America and Europe, but I'm not super well versed in the differences there. I do know that like
I don't remember, honestly, just thinking back to teenagehood or childhood, I don't remember video games really ever being fucking advertised, really. It wasn't like it was a taboo, but the ads for games I remember were like the Toy Story 2 ad that was attached to the Toy Story 2 VHS. Yeah. But it was never, I don't recall, and that's probably just bad memory, because I'm not saying it never happened. It probably did. I just, if it didn't happen enough for me to remember it, it mustn't have happened very frequently. I was gonna just quickly put this in the Discord.
Sure.
So this is the difference. I don't know if you've seen this before. This is the difference between US and UK and like video game marketing, PlayStation orientation, and all that kind of shit. So this is an ad from a magazine for the first Wipeout. This is what we're targeting. I don't know if you're going to put this on the screen for the final video.
Oh yeah. I'll probably throw that up on the video. I guess for audio only listeners, this is god damn, that's intense. So I guess
it's crazy. Yeah.
Got a couple of girls just like bleeding through the nose. They've been through it, super grungy, super like looks like an album cover almost. What's the quote?
It's very much like that's what I was trying to get at with the whole kind of, you again look at the demo one, the original PS1 demo, and there's that classic intro with the music and the flashing lights. It was all like, even though the US also got that just appealed immediately to the UK. This ad did get banned, no surprise.
Sure.
But like that was just how it was like. Hey everybody, here are two adults, and when you go out raving underground and you take too much ecstasy and you start bleeding from the fucking nose, that's the PlayStation. And it's like, it's just, but it worked, because that's what, we're just a grittier, nastier, it's the same country where, is either an insult or, a compliment, whereas in the States, I get, if I ever drop that or it accidentally comes out or whatever and I don't realize the company I'm in, that can either be like it could be awkward, or it could be horrifying. There could be gasps. And most people don't care, but it's like that just doesn't happen in the UK. It's just like, and that's the difference. That's the market. And Nintendo obviously would never, ever, ever sell anything like that. But when PlayStation do that, even though PlayStation advertised with that, and they also banned the ad, it still sold millions of units. So I guess the UK's a bit broken. I don't know what to say.
It's super interesting though, because like it just kind of seeing like the interesting differences between these companies and how they handle things. And I'm wondering if, like, because I'm assuming the Xbox was not especially popular over there.
We had one, but we had one because we were already in the know and we were made aware about, you know, it being just way more powerful than the PS2 and stuff. So we did have one, but again, I couldn't tell you if it was about fucking like massively advertised too. I don't remember seeing much on TV about it. Xbox 360, different story.
Oh, sure.
The original Xbox, yeah. That Xbox 3, I was like in like high school, so yeah, mid-teens. I was one of the only ones with a PS3. There weren't many people with PS3s. Everyone had a fucking 360.
Well, it helped that the 360 was way more affordable, I suppose.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. But no, we did have an Xbox, and again, I think that edgier kind of less. But then PS2 wasn't exactly not edgy. You know, the weird kind of start-up screen. I was thinking about how the Xbox started up. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's just a bit of a blur to me. I'm not sure.
I guess a part of it too is just like there was a scale of edginess there in that era, and I think Nintendo was on one side of that. Sony was like, it had a bit more grit, and then of course you had some games that were just like all the way out there, like God of War. But even like the more like platformy stuff that was on Xbox, like you had Voodoo Vince, you had Blinks the Time Sweeper, you had there was a different kind of grunge there.
The Tasmanian Tiger, I think, was Xbox only. I could be wrong about that. Don't crucify me. I think I'm wrong, but yeah.
You're good. That one, at least in the States, was all three platforms, I believe. I know it was at least on PS2.
Let's have a quick look. Xbox only, UK. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it was PAL it was on. Wait, no. Wait a sec. Wait. Okay. Title Xbox UK. Okay, PS2 UK. Let's try it. I'm seeing the Tasmanian Tiger 2 on PS2. I'm not seeing the first one.
Did it not release on
the PS2? No, there it is. I just found it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I couldn't find it. Yeah, it's there. No, okay, ignore me. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe it's because people were playing. Yeah, maybe more people had Xboxes than I remember. But the other reason we had an Xbox as well, I remember we specifically, me and my sister wanted it for Christmas because we were massively into Oddworld, and when we heard that Munch's Odyssey wasn't coming to PS2, it was almost like that was the reason we had an Xbox.
That's right. I kind of forgot that didn't get a PlayStation port, because there was a whole thing with that, with them getting like an exclusive deal for Xbox.
Yeah, I remember years ago when I first met Lorne Lanning, the co-creator of Oddworld. He was talking about how, like, because there's so much like archival footage and interview footage back in the day of when he's like gushing over the Xbox and how it's like the console of the future and it's happening now and it's giving them the technology and the ability to do things it was never possible even on the PS2. And he was talking to me about this years ago and was like, yeah, that was bullshit. I had to. I was paid to, because nobody would fund Munch's Odyssey. Xbox said that they would, and I'm now saying all of this now in hindsight, because then when Stranger's Wrath came out, that was also an Xbox exclusive, and they fucked the marketing. They didn't give a shit about what we were making. The game didn't sell. It failed because they didn't do anything, and then they blamed it on us, and then no studio took us back ever again until we went independent. Like, So basically, they've got a personal thing about, like, they went Xbox exclusive for a specific promise, I suppose, and it was never their end of the bargain was never held up, and yeah, it wasn't to do with the quality of the games whatsoever. But that's the industry, everybody. So that's why you gotta be arm's length with everything and take everything with a grain of salt and think twice. This is why it's important.
There's a lot of that from that era too. Like one of my favorite examples is just like Tetsuya Takahashi, the creator and director, I believe, of Xenogears and like all of the Xeno like games.
Oh wow.
He had huge ambitions for what he wanted to do with the Xenogears title, much like the plans that were present for Oddworld, and maybe beyond the scope of what was even remotely realistic for the time period. And they released a giant book, it basically just like a lore bible of all of this stuff that was supposed to be in Xenogears.
Wow.
And like even now with the release of like Xenoblade X for the Switch, they're like finally readapting some of the stuff that got left behind from back in the day. It's so wild, like just these ambitious projects and the blue sky phase of like we can do anything, and then you find out no, you can do what you can afford.
Yeah, that do be happening. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? Just the fact that like we were just talking about Metroid Prime 4 and everything. Despite the hype, despite the discussion, despite the argument, despite the wait, despite how absolutely this is probably going to sell the Switch 2 enough on its own, despite the overpricedness of everything and blah blah blah. Yeah, everyone's in agreement of that, right? So the question then becomes, why defend Nintendo to the death so hardcore when it took this long for Prime 4 to even happen, or Metroid Dread? Because they didn't want to fucking do it. And then you're like, wait, there's a big fan base for this, but then it's like, all it takes is a couple of people that just cross their arms and go, yeah, but it's not enough, is it? It's like, yeah, like you said, it's like it's not about what your limits are with what you can do, it's what you can afford. And especially if you're like first party fucking Nintendo, like even if you wanted to do this or do that, it's like people have been talking about Mother 3 having an English, like an official English translation. And there's so many people apparently that work in the company that keep bringing it up to Doug Bowser or whoever else, and it's like, yeah, we'd like that. And they never fucking do it. It's like,
yeah, that's like.
Oh, by the way, if you're not, we're not going to provide it for you anywhere. You can't buy it anywhere. You can't own it anywhere legally. And if you bought a cartridge online, we don't make any profit from that. But if you dare emulate it, we're going to fucking sue you.
Yeah,
that's Nintendo. And it's like, why are you jumping to the fucking defense of that? It's not specifically Nintendo, because that's the first thing that anyone would say. And this is again why I can't be bothered making comments like this online anymore, because then I have to address everything. I'd have to say, why say this about Nintendo? No, then I'd have to go, and PlayStation, and Xbox, and Sega, and Ubisoft, because it's otherwise you're seen as like, fucking fighting a war, and it's like, no, but I can't be bothered with it. I can't be bothered. Just let it happen and fuck it. Who cares? Just vote with your wallet. I don't know.
But imagine we could pin it on Nintendo, and then we just send a lynch mob after Anthony because he likes Nintendo.
I think it would be more successful lynching Arlo, probably.
Let's just get them both. Just get them both. Two birds, two bones, one corporation. We can do this.
I've always wondered what Arlo looked like inside. Let's find out.
Let's uncover the stuffing.
No, he's real. He's a monster, actually.
Do you think his organs are fuzzy?
I should have asked when I spoke to him. I should have asked. Oh, jeez. Love you, Arlo, by the way. Just joking. Just joking.
Definitely, I gotta shake that puppet's hand one of these days.
You haven't yet?
Haven't had the pleasure, but I've also missed every trip to PAX. Haven't been able to make it to that just yet. So
yeah, it's Seattle-based, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's a little hard for me to get the time off for all that, but One day.
Yeah, never say never. Never say never. Like, I mean, I never ever thought I'd be going back to the States ever again after a certain year because of finances. I never thought I'd be invited back to a con. I never thought I would fucking move house. I never thought, that there's... And then, like, even when things are going great, and you're like, okay, let's plan the next MagFest, let's plan the next PAX, let's do this or that, and then it's like, other life things happen, and then it's like, I haven't been to the States for 2 years now, and it's like, but I could have done, but other things get in the way, and that's fine and normal. So never say never. Never say never. Finances are just one aspect of the whole package.
Trust me, we would the gang would all love to see you up at Mag again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Mag's my favorite one. It's a crazy weekend. Yeah, great location, great hotel, great name.
yeah. The Happy Gentleman, I think it's called.
Oh my god. You can say it. It's the name of it. The name of the hotel's the Gaylord, and it's really funny. I'm sorry. It's funny.
I think that's a whole chain too. Like, I think that's just like one of their resorts is there in Maryland. Yeah.
There's many resorts of Gaylord resorts full of the people you probably wouldn't expect, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. This has been an absolute pleasure. I am fairly certain this has been the the longest running episode of the show so far.
Oh, jeez, how long have we been going for? Oh my god! Oh my god! We started the call 4 hours ago, so you've been going 3 hours.
Yeah, little over 3 hours. No, trust me, dude. I am very appreciative that you even lent me this much time out of your day. I had nothing else going on, and this has been an absolute blast.
No, it's my pleasure. I know I ramble, so like that's entirely on me. Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, that's what the show is for. I guess before we wrap up, did you have anything that you wanted to plug? Anything that you wanted to just kind of throw out there for people to keep an eye out for? I know we've talked briefly about something you got in the works.
Yes, I am working on my next vid, which I mean I don't know when this podcast is going to go out, but I'm aiming towards the end of ideally, personal life aside, I want it done by November. I do not want to upload it in December. I want to upload it in November, and I'm not going to say what it's about, but what I am going to say is that it's experimental. It's a completely different kind of thing that I'm working on, and I don't want to ruin the idea. It's different. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be long. It's going to be the same sense of humor, but the way that it's written and what I'm actually doing, the purpose, the point, is something I'm trying something new with, and there is every chance that people are either not going to get it, or they're going to think that I'm being serious about something when I'm not, or they're going to think I've changed the entire channel, or they're going to think that I'm wrong about everything and I need to do more research, or they're going to there is every potential for this video to piss everybody off in some way or another, but it's just dumb enough where I think it's clear what I'm trying to do. I don't want to ruin it, but yes, I've had a blast fucking making this video, and I would love to make more videos like that in the future. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. It won't be what anybody is expecting. Not topic and approach style. I even do a completely different intro. I don't even use my regular intro for it because I'm committing to this new idea. It doesn't mean I'm changing everything forever. I'm just, for this one, yeah, I'm going out there a little bit, and a lot of effort, a lot of driving, a lot of traveling, a lot of filming has gone into it, and I'm proud of it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've giggled so much editing my own shit back, which I don't usually do because I feel a bit awkward about that. But there have been a few lines and a few moments, and yeah, it's been a blast making, and I just hope everyone understands where I'm coming from with it. That's all I can hope for.
Well, hell yeah. And of course, you can find this guy over at Caddicarus on YouTube and on the socials.
Yeah, every social. Bluesky, Twitter, Instagram. Those are the ones I'm on the most. But yeah, TikTok as well. Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, and of course, just remember, any paying, any tier of Patreon supporter gets to see these podcasts a week before they go public on its own YouTube channel. And thank you once again, Caddy, for joining me here today. A really insightful discussion.
Yeah, and hopefully I haven't annoyed people. But I mean, what can I say? I am me. I am all of me, as the ultimate life form would say.
Oh, yeah, that was the yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next mission.
Goodbye.